which is tied for the most in program history.
So Lambros getting set, brings the pitch in. That one skips to the plate, and we saw him battle back from a 3-0 count to get an out. Now he gets ahead 0-2 and issues his first base on balls of the game. So back-to-back Terrapins reach base, still looking for that first hit. Jacob Orr's next.
I think, sorry about that, Joe. I think a lot of that is trying to get that hit by pitch back. You saw him trying to go low in the zone as much as possible to induce that double play, but just continued to miss too far low and too far out of the zone. And now for the first time today, runner in scoring position.
One down. Here comes the pitch. That misses. Ball one.
And again, still trying to go low in the zone. 3 infielders on the right side, or on the left side rather, of the infield.
1 ball, no strikes with 1 out. Knuckles up and in. That is going to miss, and it's ball 2. And a mound visit now for the Rams as they're trying to calm Knuckles down. They've seen him hit a batter and then walk a batter, and now falling behind 2-0 to a guy that's hitting .400, the junior, with 1 home run and 6 RBIs. Rams do have some action in the pen as well, but obviously they would love to kind of try to hold off on that as much as they can.
James McGrady, the junior, starting to get loose. Right-handed reliever out of Norfolk, Virginia. But as you said, you would really love to see a couple of more innings from Nichols here, especially knowing you got 3 more games coming up on Friday through Sunday, 3 different opponents as well, so you got to plan for all 3 of them a little bit differently. 1 1/3 just probably isn't enough for Nichols at the moment.
So with the 2-0 count and 1 down, the mound visit is over. Knuckles looking in to Kleinman for the sign. Now brings the pitch in. That one won't be in the zone either. It's 3-0.
Plus, you don't want to think too far ahead, but you got 2 more midweeks next week on the road against East Carolina, who's one of the top dozen teams in the country.
That misses outside. It's ball 4. So back-to-back walks, and the base is full of Terrapins now for Charlie Glennon.
I don't know if you saw any of the ECU UNC series a week or 2 ago. It was one of the best atmospheres in a regular season game in quite some time. ECU with a big late comeback to win game 2 of that series.
The Pirates building quite the program over there. 1 out, bases loaded for Maryland, in there for a strike. VCU playing a handful of ranked opponents. NC State, UNC, and East Carolina, as you just mentioned, Ben, coming up. All right there in the Tar Heel State as Cam Knuckles fires it in there for strike 2.
This team will see the Cavaliers as well at some point.
Yes, we'll see them a couple times,
yeah.
Once in Charlottesville and once here. As that one gets in on the hands, it's nubbed over to first base. They'll trade and out for a run as Maryland gets the first run of the game with 2 down. RBI for Charlie Glennon. It's going to be his first RBI of the year, and it brings up Braden Martin.
First RBI in Maryland colors as well for Glennon. Transfer from the D3 level, Denison College in Ohio. First Division I RBI for him.
Runners now at second and third for Maryland. Knuckles misses upstairs. It's ball 1. Martin has started all but 1 game so far this year for Maryland. He's made an appearance in every game. 8 RBIs for him so far this year, despite only hitting .240. That misses inside, and it's 2-0. Knuckles trying to get out of this inning as he misses downstairs again, and it's 3-0.
In the first 2 innings of the last 2 games now, Joe, Maryland has scored 10 runs on 3 hits.
Well, that's been the story here. Still looking for their first hit today, but they've already managed to put up a run, and the bases will be loaded for the second time in the inning for Maryland, as that's the 3rd walk of the inning. And it's the top of the order in Eddie Harkopian.
And remember, Hakopian hit the ball pretty sharply to open up the ball game. It was right at McHugh at second, but it took back up the middle. And that could be all that
That is,
Nichols sees.
now is going to be it for Cam Knuckles. So Knuckles will come out. We'll step aside here on ESPN Plus, tell you about the new Rams pitcher when we come back. Back here on ESPN Plus. New pitcher for VCU is going to be number 24, James McGrady, the junior righty.
Transfer from Lewisburg Community College, standing at 5'11", 190 pounds. Second outing of the season for McGrady through 1 inning of scoreless baseball. Struck out 2 in a 12-3 win over Merrimack back on February the 23rd.
So right now, McGrady's going to come in inheriting a bases-loaded situation with the top of the order up for Maryland. It's not an easy situation to inherit, but it is the situation he has been handed here. And again, Ben, you touched on it already. They're probably going to need McGrady to eat up some innings out of the bullpen as well, knowing that they've got 3 games over the weekend still on the way.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult spot if McGrady's unable to get the outs that he needs here in the second, because you have to imagine Rams aren't going to want to use more than 4 or so arms all day today. Got Sacred Heart, Central Connecticut State, and then a darn good Boston College team on Sunday as well. That's a program out of one of the best baseball conferences in the country in the ACC. This is an important inning for McGrady, an important batter in Hakopian. He's only 1 swing away from getting out of it.
That'll be the 3rd different ACC opponent they have seen this year, and we mentioned UVA on the schedule as well. There'll be a 4th one they will deal with later in the year as McGrady catches the outside corner for strike 1 to Harkopian. You mentioned it earlier, Harkopian hit a hard ground ball to second his first time up. This one bounces and gets away from the catcher Kleinman, so the wild pitch results in a run.
Yeah, that's exactly what you couldn't let happen. If you're McGrady, you have to make Hakopian earn that. And Maryland doubles their lead.
2-0. Still no hits for Maryland here in the inning. 1-1 count. That one will catch the zone for strike 2. Hakopian swings and drives that into center field. There's the Terrapins' first hit. And after the first hit, Maryland now has 4 runs on the 2 RBI single by Eddie Hakopian.
That's a really good piece of 2-strike hitting that time for Hakopian, taking the ball the other way where it was pitched. And with the 2 outs, runners going on contact, no play at the plate, and all of a sudden, it's a 4-0 game.
Well, it plagued them in their loss to Merrimack in the middle game of the weekend series. Walks and free bases, and here it has dug them in a 4-run hole with Sam Honar stepping up, and Honar looking to keep the inning alive with the 2-out rally, as that is strike 1.
Now close the book on Knuckles' line. All 4 of those runs are his.
All 4 earned as well. Pickoff move, not in time.
And reflecting on Knuckles' outing, you throw 36 pitches, you throw 21 balls and only 15 strikes. You're just not setting yourself up for success against a UMD lineup that can do some damage.
He'll be hoping for a better outing in his next appearance, as that one is a pickoff move over to first again from McGrady, not in time. Really paying a lot of attention over there to Hakopian.
And it wouldn't get easier next weekend, as we mentioned, in Greenville.
Hakopian has not attempted a stolen base yet this year. That one's in the dirt, but blocked by Kleinman. 1-1.
Yeah, this is a Maryland team that does not run a ton at all in 2024. Only 4 stolen base attempts in their first 8 games. They're just 2 for 4 on the base paths. Opponents are 8 for 12.
1 ball, 1 strike count as Honar looking to see if he can drive one somewhere and keep the 2-out rally alive. Swings through that one, 1-2. Think he was fooled there a little bit. Looked to be expecting the fastball. So now a 1-2 count with 2 down. McGrady 1 strike away from getting out of the inning. Another throw over to first. See what Honar has up his sleeve here at the plate. Waiting on the 1-2 from McGrady. Swings through it. It's strike 3. So the strikeout for McGrady is the second time Honar's been sat down on strikes today. It's 4-0 though after a big inning for the Terrapins. We'll be back with the bottom of the second here at the Diamond after this. We're back here in a breezy and drizzly day here in Richmond, Virginia for the Maryland Terrapins and VCU Rams, bottom of the second inning. That one in there for strike 1 to Chris McHugh. He'll be followed by Eli Wiesner and Ethan Iannuzzi, the 4, 5, and 6 hitters for the Rams today. Melendez back on the mound, getting ahead, and McHugh swings through the 0-1, chases one there, and now it's 0-2.
First batter after you have that much real time of sitting down for a pitcher, really important to get ahead of the batters on the count. Just like that.
And another 3-pitch strikeout for Melendez. It's back-to-back 3-pitch strikeouts if you go back to the end of the first for Melendez.
But not only that much real time in between the last time he faced a batter in Hill and McHugh, but the fact that it's not a really nice warm day to stay warm and stay loose. It says it's 68 degrees. It doesn't really feel bright and sunny in 68 like baseball weather.
Foul tip from Wiesner. It's 7 straight strikes that have not been put into play. It's 8 straight if you go back to the Ike fly ball to right field, 1-1. That one is swung on and missed, 1-2 now to Wiesner.
And that's the difference, isn't it, between Knuckles' outing and Melendez. Knuckles couldn't throw strikes Melendez has, and Terps made the Rams pay for it.
Wiesner lines one into right field, but again, Orr is there. Orr has been busy. It's the 3rd putout he's had in the inning, or in the game.
Really valuable glove out there is Jacob Orr. He's played a lot of different positions in his Maryland career. Matt Swope, the head coach for Maryland, knows they can pencil him in a lot of different positions, and he'll get a solid defensive performance from him.
So after Wiesner's retired, it brings up Ethan Iannuzzi. Iannuzzi hitting .222. Swings, and he'll pull one to left field, and that one looks like it's going to get down. It will at the track and go all the way to the wall. The Rams with a 2-out double for their first hit of the game. And now we will see Melendez from the stretch for the first time.
That's one of the first times today that VCU has attacked that first pitch fastball. Melendez has found a lot of success in the last couple of batters by getting ahead of the Rams. This time, Iannuzzi doesn't wait for that to happen, and he jumps on the early pitch.
It's the first time they've been early, too, because a lot of them have been smacked the other way and the opposite field toward Orr. He pulls that one and ends up getting it to the wall. Now it's William Bean. Bean on a little bit of a slump to start the season, just hitting .167. Chops that one foul. 0-1.
Really struggled with the strikeouts early on in the season. Had one strikeout, at least one in each of the first 4 games of the season. Following up the next 3 with just 1 combined strikeout, so he's starting to put bat to ball a little bit more.
4 RBIs on the year, though, for Bean. He'll swing through that one as the off-speed fools him a little bit, and it's 0-2. Bean is hitting .273 with runners in scoring position. He'd love to pick up RBI number 5 and at least start the path to the VCU comeback. Obviously, so much baseball to be played, you don't have to get him all this inning. But psychologically, for Maryland, if you put up a 4 spot in the top half and then you get out of that second, especially straining a runner in scoring position, that does a lot for your confidence if you're Melendez. It's 1-2 to William Bean here with 2 down, and that runner Iannuzzi at second for VCU. Bean watches that one miss high. 2-2.
That's a good take with 2 strikes. You know that Melendez is going to want to elevate.
Bean waiting on the 2-2. Omar Melendez getting the sign from Glennon behind the plate. Now brings the pitch in. That one comes in, and that'll hit Bean. So it'll be runners at first and second after Bean is hit by a pitch.
It works out well in the VCU lineup to bring up Cooper Benson, who's probably the most dangerous hitter on the bottom part of the order.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot over the weekend, but Cooper Benson and usually Nick Erickson is in that 9 spot. He is also hitting well over 300. Those are 2 guys that typically when you get to the bottom of the order, you can breathe a sigh of relief as a pitcher, but Benson hitting .360 as he takes strike 1. He's got 4 RBIs, and he has a home run. He does have power, as VCU fans know from his veteran status now as a Ram. That one missing low, 1-1. Playing center field this year for VCU. Had played left field before for the Rams, but now with that center field spot opening up after A.J. Mathis departs, it allows him to drift over to center. He'll swing at the 1-1. This one's hit to shallow right field. Orr is charging in, calls for it. He'll make the catch. Rams get 2 runners on, but can't bring them in. It's 4-0 Maryland as we go into the third here on ESPN+. 4-0 Maryland here on ESPN+. I'm Joe Deck, and now for the play-by-play, I toss it over to Ben Curtis.
Thanks, Joe. 3-4-5 due up for Maryland as they look to add to their 4-0 lead against James McGrady, who is back out there after he finished out the second inning. It was Cam Knuckles who started things off on the mound for VCU. His line has finished 1 2/3 innings of work. No hits, but 3 earned runs and 1 more unearned on 3 walks, a strikeout, and a hit by a pitch. He faced 9 batters and threw 21 balls and just 15 strikes. Now it's Chris Hakopian, Kevin Keister, and Alex Calarco due up to try to extend the Maryland advantage here on a rainy, cloudy, dreary Wednesday afternoon at the Diamond in Richmond, Virginia. Hakopian started off his first at-bat of the game, grounding out to the third baseman to end a 1-2-3 first inning, and then a 4 spot in the second gets us to 4-0, and the first pitch misses well low and outside.
And for McGrady, this is an important inning here as well. He inherited bases loaded, then gives up the hit, which hurts. But now if he can get a quick inning, it gives him some confidence.
Ike went back on that baseball, and his throw was offline, and Hakopian is going to reach on what you'd imagine will be an E5. You'd love to see Ike charge that ball. As soon as he took that step back, it was going to be a difficult play for him against Hakopian, who runs well.
Yeah, this infield is in pristine condition, considering the weather that has been going on here in Richmond, and that's in large part thanks to the grounds crew here at the Diamond. But you're right. When he doesn't charge that, it means he's got to kind of hurry the throw a little bit, and then it was offline, and you're never going to get a guy like Hakopian.
Took his momentum back away from first base as well, had to regenerate all the power in the throw in his lower body, and in doing so and getting the power, throw was a little bit offline. 0-1 to Keister, grounded back out to the pitcher to start off that second inning. Ball and a strike now to the shortstop, hitting .276 into his senior season. The everyday shortstop for Maryland, who have had a number of really solid shortstops in terms of the offensive production side of things. 1-1, check to swing, went around, it's 1-2. Matt Shaw was the everyday shortstop for a couple of years in College Park, now in the top 60 in the MLB pipeline, top 100 prospects, first round pick by the Chicago Cubs a couple of years ago. 1-2, just missed the outside corner, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Not a bad idea there by McGrady. That one just misses off the zone. You're seeing if you can get Keister to reach out and either have weak contact or strike out there for an important out.
2-2. To the left side and through for a base hit. Hakopian had to hesitate, and he will just stop at second base, but there's 2 on and nobody out for Maryland here in the top half of the third.
And that's what he didn't want, a hard hit ground ball through the infield. It splits the infielders Bean and Ike, and now Maryland, nobody out, threatening to add to their 4-run lead.
And it was Calarco who was hit by a pitch to start that second inning rally. We'll step up to bat next from the left side. Junior out of Wilmette, Illinois. The Northwestern transfer with an opportunity to do some damage. First pitch is in there, breaking ball to get McGrady ahead in the count. The shift is back on for VCU. 3 on the right side of the infield, with 1 playing just about right behind the second base bag. And Ike all alone at third. And McGrady had 0-2 after Calarco went chasing after that breaking ball.
And after you get him to chase one low, you do wonder if McGrady maybe tries to power a fastball just up and out of the zone, maybe eye level, see if you can get him to chase on this one.
Ground ball will be huge for McGrady here as well. 0-2 went back to the breaking ball and got Calarco to swing and miss again. That's a big strikeout to get the first out of the top half of the third. And now you're just 1 swing away from getting out of the inning if you're McGrady.
Yeah, it's a second strikeout from McGrady, which is big. Now you definitely, I think, you're looking to pound the bottom of the zone no matter what to see if you can get that ground ball.
It'll be Elijah Lambros to step up to the plate. First pitch downstairs. It's 1-0 to a kid who is from not too far away from here, Fredericksburg, Virginia native, at a Fredericksburg Christian school. Started out his college career at South Carolina. Transferred after 2022 to College Park, was 3rd team All-Big Ten last year for the Terps. He pops this one up right side of the infield. Calling for it is the shortstop Bean as the wind blew it back over from the right to the left side of the infield. And there's 2 gone.
I tell you what, it's not the ground ball double play that you were looking for to get out of the inning, but you'll take that. Runners have to stay where they are. And now for McGrady, after the rough start to the inning, you get the next 2, and you have a chance here with the bottom of the order to get out of this unscathed.
Now here's Jacob Orr, walked and scored as well. That was back in that 4-run second inning with an opportunity to do a little bit of 2-out damage. Bounce right back up the middle to a perfectly placed McHugh, who will step on second and end the inning. Maryland gets the first 2 batters to reach, but then 3 straight sat down by James McGrady to get out of the inning. We're through 2.5 in rainy Richmond. It's 4-0 Terps on ESPN+. Bottom 3 here at the Diamond in Richmond, alongside Joe Deck, Ben Curtis with you on ESPN+. Appreciate hanging out with us for a Wednesday matinee. This game, originally scheduled for 3 p.m., was moved up because Mother Nature has some not terribly fun things in mind for the afternoon here in Richmond. Rams 9-1-2 up to bat for this VCU team that's in a 4-0 hole. All 4 of those Maryland runs coming in the top half of the second inning, and Omar Melendez has been really solid. Retired the first 5 batters he faced, worked around the 2-out double to Ethan Iannuzzi. That'll be Griffin Boone, the designated hitter, who will start things up for VCU in the bottom half of the third. Looking for a little bit of momentum to extend from the top half of the inning, in which the Rams got out of a 2-on, nobody-out jam. And it's 1-0 to Boone. Always helpful if you can extend that momentum from one side of the inning to the next when you get out of a jam. Start to get the bats going as that one's pushed towards the right side. Honar is there, though, moving to his left, and there's one away.
Yeah, and for Boone, that's so tough. I mean, he's getting just his second start of the year, but he only had 1 at bat in his first start of the year before he was taken out of the game. So now that's just the second at bat of the year. It's a leadoff inning, like you said. It's an important inning for VCU because you want to start clawing your way back here.
And you mentioned it. There's plenty of outs left for the Rams to work with, but just in terms of turning the momentum of this game, it seems as though as soon as that first run came in for Maryland and they knocked Knuckles out of the game, the Terps have been in the driver's seat. Lineman takes a pitch on the inside edge. It's 1-1. Went 0 for 4 against North Carolina yesterday with a strikeout. That broke a 7-game on-base streak for the Monterey Peninsula Community College transfer. Ball in a strike, lunges after it, and pokes it into the stands. It's 1-2. An admirable crowd for the conditions here at the Diamond. Not quite the 1,822 that were in Chapel Hill yesterday to watch the Rams and the Tar Heels, but plenty of fans braving the conditions on a Wednesday afternoon. It's 1-2 upstairs. It's always tough, regardless of the conditions, when you get a time change as late as the one that came in last night of a 2-hour jump.
Well, and the tough conditions of, the time change happened so late that if you'd already gotten the time off early to come in because of work, now you got to move it up 2 hours. That maybe is a harder ask to the boss.
Plenty of Zooms happening at 10 this morning to try to get in what needs to get done in the morning. Swinging bunt down the first base side. Going to be a tough play for Melendez, who gets the ball out of his glove quickly and is able to get Kleinman. That's an athletic play for Melendez. There's 2 gone.
I think VCU's going to challenge this one and see if Kleinman beat it out.
It's especially tough of a play for Melendez because he's a left-handed pitcher, and so he had to kind of contort his body to angle himself back towards first to make a throw, as opposed to a right-handed pitcher who can kind of do that all in one fell swoop.
So it looks like Gregory Walls and Greg Howard will go down to take a look at this one.
3-umpire crew today as per usual. Tony Carrilli is calling balls and strikes, and Walls and Howard are on the base paths.
So let's watch the replay here. Melendez getting ready to come in, makes the throw. That's live speed. That's a bang-bang play for sure.
Get one more look at it, and that is awfully close. For VCU and Bradley LaCroix, if anything else, maybe just looking to change the momentum a little bit, just get a break to go your way. And the first base coach for VCU immediately signaling for the challenge. That's as good of a look as we'll get.
Yeah, that looks even closer. Like maybe Kleinman made it. Let's see here again. Absolutely hustling down the line, and see the ball coming in. It's in the back of the glove. Oof. Yeah, man, I don't envy the umpires. I don't know.
You make a good point. It is not when it starts into the glove. It's when it hits the back of the glove, and that is almost simultaneous. I remember being in Champaign, Illinois 2 seasons ago with this Maryland baseball program, actually, and talking with, there was a NCAA baseball umpiring kind of official who was there to scout umpires for the postseason. And it was a rainy day in Champaign. He was talking about how it's a harder job to make that call at first base because you're listening more than anything else for the pop of the ball in the glove and the pop of the foot on the bag. And with the rain, it's harder to hear it as well when you're up that close. And they are going to keep the call on the field to stand. So Kleinman is retired.
And you know what? I understand that. You could make a case. I think if you're a black and gold wearing fan, you're thinking, obviously he's safe. Look at the replay. And if you're wearing red and black, you're obviously saying, well, look, he's obviously out. I think that's one. If they had called him safe on the field, he's going to be safe after that challenge. They called him out on the field, so it's going to be hard to overturn it. It was really bang, bang.
Brandon Eike trying to start a 2-out rally. Did that hit his bat or him? I think it hit his bat, and so it's going to be 0-2 and a painful strike for Eike.
No, I think they're giving him the base. They appealed to see if he swung, and the first base umpire said he held up. So I think they're saying that hit him in the thigh maybe. That's a painful way to get 90 feet.
Rams will take a runner on any way that they can get him. They've been tough to come by so far today. So Aiden Hill will bat next. I just thought that was a fascinating conversation. Whenever you get the chance to talk with referees and officials, you learn about the sport in new ways and kind of ways you don't really think about from a fan or from a broadcaster's perspective. Now it's 1-0 to Hill, who struck out looking back in the first.
Eike was the second Ram that Melendez has already hit here in the first 3 innings.
And Bean was also, beaned in the second. That set up that 2-on-2-out situation for Benson. More action in the Rams bullpen. We'll see if McGrady's back out there for the top half of the fourth, as that one's sky high, but much higher than it is deep. It'll stay in the infield. The first baseman, Eddie Akopian, will call off his brother, and he'll make the catch to end the inning. VCU strands the 2-out hit by pitch. We're through 3 innings of play. It's 4-0. Maryland leads it in Richmond on ESPN+. top four here at the Diamond in Richmond, alongside Joe Deck, Ben Curtis with you. Appreciate you hanging out with us on this Wednesday afternoon. 4 runs on 2 hits, no errors for the Maryland Terrapins. VCU with no runs on just their 1 hit. They've committed 1 error as well off the bat of Chris Hakopian. It will be 8-9-1 due up for Maryland against James McGrady, who stays out there on the mound. Came in the top half of the 2nd inning with 2 outs as there's work continuing in the VCU bullpen. Fly ball to left field, Martin camping underneath it, and 1 pitch, 1 out off the bat of Charlie Glennon. That's a good start for McGrady here in the top half of the 4th.
Yeah, he needed that. And again, we've talked about it. Anything high in the air is not going to be routine today. The wind is whipping. You've seen it a little bit. I think on the shot coming back, you could see it on the flag. It's whipping out there in the outfield. Anything's going to be tough, but Iannuzzi did a good job to find that one and quickly get the out.
And as Iannuzzi, I should correct myself, out there in left field. And it's 1-0 now to Braden Martin, who walked and scored back in the 2nd. Martin, one of a couple of freshmen in this Maryland lineup today. Another local kid out of Bowie, Maryland, St. John's College High School, a massive program in the D.C. area. Ranked the number 3 shortstop, number 7 overall player in the state of Maryland in his high school class by Perfect Game Baseball, which is really the leading authority on high school baseball recruiting. A 2-0 swung on and missed, and that's really been a focus for Matt Swope. And when he was an assistant coach at Maryland, and now as a head coach, to keep kids local in Maryland. Terps got 3 of the top 10 players in the Maryland state rankings on the Perfect Game recruit list, including Martin, number 7 overall. Hakopian was in the top 10 of that list as well. 2-1, unable to pull his bunt back. It was a strike anyways, and it's 2-2. Matt Swope, an alum of Maryland as well. He's called Maryland his dream job, being promoted from associate head coach to head coach after Rob Vaughn left to take the open job at Alabama. Count moves to 3-2 now to Martin.
Well, Maryland, obviously, talking to you, it's a team that's expected to finish at the top of the Big Ten this year and make another appearance in the regionals.
McHugh is right there on 2 bounces, and there's 2 away. The Maryland team won the Big Ten tournament a season ago, lost a lot of talent, but still picked to finish 3rd in the preseason poll, behind only Iowa and Indiana, and both of those teams have hit bumps in the road already. Yesterday, Indiana fell to Purdue-Fort Wayne in a absolute shocker. That's an Indiana team ranked in the top 25. You have to imagine they're probably not going to be there next week. Swinging bunt, that's going to be a tough play for Ike. Throws on the run, not in time to beat Eddie Hakopian, who is able to beat that one out. And so far, Ike has had all sorts of trouble with the Hakopians today. That was the error that Chris Hakopian had to Ike, and now Eddie's able to beat out the infield hit.
Yeah, that one was just hustle by Eddie Hakopian, who I don't think meant to put the bat on the ball there, tried to check up, but it went into play. Ike did his best, but yeah, there's a reason he's at the top of the order.
So here's Honar, 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts, and so he goes after the first pitch and fouls it back toward the Maryland dugout. 0-1. It is a Maryland team that has really just grown over the past 5 or so seasons. I think back to 2018, 2019 for this program, the benchmark was just to qualify for the Big Ten tournament, which the top 8 teams do in the conference. They get the strong play in 2020 right before the pandemic shut everything down. You make a regional in 2021. You host a regional in 2022. And now the expectation is that you're going to be competing for a Big Ten championship in Omaha. 0-2 now. Same kind of trajectory for VCU, who went to the NCAA tournament just a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, and VCU scheduling Maryland, NC State, UNC, East Carolina, UVA, these tough non-conference opponents. They want to be sharp by the time A10 play starts.
Sam Honar is 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, but the rest of his Maryland offense has picked him up. They've got 4 runs through 4 innings. We head to the bottom of the 4th. VCU is still looking for their first score of the day. The wind continuing to blow here in Richmond, Virginia, as we welcome you back to the Diamonds. Bottom of the 4th inning coming up between VCU and Maryland. Appreciate you joining us for some A10 baseball on ESPN+. Middle third of the order, 2 up for VCU as they try to solve Omar Melendez, who through 3 innings of work so far has been very solid with just the 1 hit conceded, no runs. He has not walked a batter. He's struck out 2, has hit a pair of batters, but 23 strikes to just 15 balls. And has gotten plenty of run support so far in the early stages of this one. Chris McHugh will lead things off. He was one of those strikeouts. In fact, the second of 2 back-to-back to end the first and start the second. And McHugh will launch one out towards left field. That is Martin ranging back. He has got some room, though, and he'll make the catch on the edge of the warning track. That's the farthest hit ball of the day by VCU, but it records the first out of the bottom of the 4th.
Yeah, the Rams have gotten runners on against Melendez the last 2 innings, but the problem has been they've come with 2 outs. You'd like to get them before you get 2 outs. It's not impossible to get your first base runner with 2 down and find a way to score in an inning, but it sure is a lot easier when you've already got them on base and you're moving them around with those outs.
Had the double by Iannuzzi and the hit by pitch to Bean with 2 outs in the second, then the hit by pitch to Ike in the third as the first pitch runs downstairs to Wiesner. Graduate student out of Glen Allen, Virginia. 4th different school that he has played for. That goes to 2-0 start at Furman, went to JUCO in 2022, went back to D1 to play for Charlotte last year, and now VCU. That's the new normal in college baseball. Maybe not 4 schools, but multiple schools in your career. Count moves to 2-1. We were talking about it earlier on about those in-conference transfers being almost unheard of, and now you kind of shrug your shoulders. It happens every so often. Same with playing for 3 or 4 different schools in your college career. Melendez gets back in the count to make it 2-2.
Oh, baseball especially. I mean, it's so hard to recruit in a sport that is so popular and there's so many players. It's so hard to filter through them.
2-2 out towards the right side. Honar is not going to come up with that. Might have deflected it into center field, but a clean single for Wiesner. And there's 1 aboard here with 1 out in the 4th.
I think that's why, especially in baseball, you see, and honestly, these staffs are very limited in the size they can be. It's not like football where you have what feels like 100 coaches on the staff. You can go out and recruit all over the country. Baseball, it's hard to go out and recruit. It's why you see so many D3 players catching fire, and then they get on someone's radar, and then they make the jump to D1.
And so much about connections, where coaches have been in the past as well, knowing guys through summer ball as well. You see a friend of a coach who says, hey, we have a guy to flag for you in case he's trying to make a jump. And we talk about how deep the talent pool as well. I don't think a lot of people realize, especially in baseball, the gulf between D3 and D1. As Iannuzzi gets into that one down the left field line, that's going to be extra bases as Martin has to go all the way to the wall. On his way to third is Wiesner. He's going to be sent home. The cutoff comes in late. The throw home won't happen. It's an RBI double for Iannuzzi, his second 2-bagger of the day, and VCU on the board.
I tell you what, after a little bit of a slump for Iannuzzi, he's broken out of it in a big way. Only guy to have an extra base hit. He's got 2 of the 3 Ram hits in the game, and this one drives in an RBI. That's Iannuzzi's 8th RBI as he's trying to catch the red-hot Brandon Ike.
So that gives VCU a bit of a foothold in the game. As I was saying before, Iannuzzi rudely interrupted me. The gulf between D3 to D1 is so small in baseball, even between the junior college level and the D1 level. It's probably one of the smallest gulfs across the sports, just because of how many top recruits there are, how much availability there is to play baseball through the travel programs at the high school level, through the emerging high school programs, not only in the South where there's been a lot of talent, but in the Northeast and the Great Lakes region as well. And then you also look at just financially, only the 11.7 scholarships for baseball. A lot of guys just make the decision to go to D3 or D2 as the count moves to 1-1, especially because you look at a lot of the D3 powerhouses. There are also a lot of the academic powerhouses in the country. You look at that conference that has U Chicago, Johns Hopkins, et cetera. A lot of guys just opt for that kind of path if they're not going to necessarily get a full scholarship to a D1 program anyways. Count moves to 1-1, and Melendez takes a timeout.
Yeah, again, if you're sitting here thinking Ben and I are crazy, I 100% agree with Ben. I've said that before during games. There's plenty of summer ball, especially here in Virginia. Go out to a summer ball game, and you will see that gulf and how little it exists.
On the move is Iannuzzi, got a phenomenal jump, and he will get there easily. That's a big 90 feet because that also allows for Iannuzzi to score on a productive out. And that'll change the mindset for Bean a little bit. Yeah, that's when you get the best look at that, is during those summer ball seasons. You got guys at D1 who go to some of the top schools in the country for baseball, pitching and hitting against D2 and D3, and it really is a really small gulf. This guy moves to 2-2. I think especially it's talked about a function of just the availability of talent. Also just a function about the sport itself and how much of a game of failure it is that a guy who plays for a team that might win the College World Series still isn't going to hit 600 against a D2 pitcher. The 2-2 is popped foul.
No, that's true too. But for being at the plate right now, you saw him for that second strike go out of the zone. He's a little too aggressive. This is where he needs to know his role. His role is get this ball in the outfield, get this run in. You need to make this a 2-run ball game.
Infield, unsurprisingly, is back, and Bean is hit by a pitch for the second time today.
Tell you what, this bottom half of the order seems to be rinse and repeat. Iannuzzi picks up his second double. Bean hit for a second time. Benson flew out to right last time. Now, he's going to want to fly out a little bit deeper if he does, because last time it was pretty shallow right field. I don't think that would be deep enough to get Iannuzzi in, but right now Benson needs to know, kind of similar to Bean, just don't hit it on the ground, drive it somewhere, preferably as far as you can.
Bottom 5 of the order, as you mentioned, has reached base 5 times today combined. Top 4 in the order for VCU. Just once it was the Einke hit by pitch, as Jimmy Jackson, the pitching coach, will head on out and have a conversation.
Yeah,
Melendez runs into some trouble.
Nobody throwing in that Maryland bullpen. So this is just to kind of come up with a plan of attack for Benson. And, this is the bottom of the order, but the bottom of the order is where VCU's had success, like you just touched on. And right now with the wind whipping out to left, it's important for Benson just in the air, turn on it if you can, and get it in the air. If it carries out to left field and it doesn't quite leave and it's an out, that's fine. Iannuzzi's going to score. He's got the speed for that. But if you can cut this deficit in half here in the 4th inning, and then you've got over half the game left and you only need to make up 2 runs if you do your job when you're in the field, that's a big, big swing for VCU.
First offering to Benson. It misses outside. We'll see what pitching coach Jimmy Jackson had in mind for his conversation with Melendez, relatively new to College Park by way of James Madison. Runners at the corners. The 1-0 offering to Benson, lifted in the air to right field. That will do the trick as Orr tracks back a couple of steps, makes the catch. Tagging from third is Iannuzzi. He will score without a play. Job done by Benson. Sacrifice fly cuts the deficit to 4-2.
Yeah, that is job done. And like we said, right now you have so many outs. You don't care if you don't get all 4. You'll take it if you can get it, but it's not the end of the world if you don't get it. You just need to feel like things are starting to go your way in this game. And this is kind of that pendulum swinging back to the Rams a little bit. And now they're going to see how far they can get it to swing over there and keep. The Rams are going to be hoping they can hold it over there. But for Maryland, this next top half of the inning is going to be crucial too.
They'll send 3, 4, 5 to the plate as well. Big boppers coming up for the Terps. And VCU, as you mentioned, just getting a foothold back in the game. They didn't do that until too late in Chapel Hill yesterday. It was already 8-0 North Carolina by the time VCU scored their 2 runs. They did score 2 unanswered runs in the last 4 innings of the ball game, but it was pretty much game, set, match at that point already. VCU climbing back a little bit earlier here today at home. 0-2 to Griffin Boone. Upstairs, that's a ball and 2 strikes. That's not a bad miss for Melendez in that spot.
Yeah, baseball's a crazy game, right? There's no clock, other than the pitch clock, but there's no game clock where this game's going to end at this time. You have to get the 27 outs, but you don't want to leave all the runs you need until the very last frame.
Runners on the move. That's going to be a tough play for Hakopian, and he lets it run foul smartly.
Well, there you see a little bit of small ball trying to be played by the Rams a little bit. They weren't going to bunt, but they wanted to throw that hit and run into action. We've already seen them steal third, which is very difficult to do in the sport of baseball. But I think even though Melendez is a lefty, he hasn't been looking at the runners too often. And so there you saw Bean kind of, if you're not going to pay attention to him, Bean is going to break. He does have some speed.
Terps have already conceded 9 stolen bases so far this season. It's in one of the spots that Matt Swope will want to clean up. as the 1-2 is popped foul and out of play. Melendez closing in on 60 pitchers. There's nobody throwing in the Maryland bullpen, but just a couple of guys starting to mosey around and stretch and get themselves ready to go if they do need to be on call. Another 1-2 offering to the VCU designated hitter. Back to the screen. When you send it right back like that, you know you don't miss it by a ton. And we'll do the 1-2 all over again.
Yeah, he just got a piece of that one. But 1 and 2, and if nothing else, VCU has made Melendez work this inning. It's something he hasn't really had to do through the first 3. Again, we talked about the Rams got runners in the second and the third, but those were with 2 outs. Now they finally made him work.
And again, Boone battling with Melendez. Just the second start of the season for Griffin Boone, putting together a solid at-bat. Only had 1 at-bat all season long coming into play today, but a guy who hit 267 a season ago in 23 games. Important piece to the puzzle for Bradley LaCroix's ball club. Yet another 1-2. Good take with 2 strikes that time. A ball that dipped late out of the zone and it moves to 2-2.
Yeah, I thought Melendez had him, but a great job by Boone to hold up on a filthy breaking ball.
Dave Melendez goes back to the well with the off-speed stuff. Benson not going. The 2-2 brings the fastball, missed it, and that will send Benson with a head start from first with a full count and 2 away. So anything into the gaps would more than likely, or rather, score Bean, who's at first. Bean gets the head start. It's bounced foul, and we'll do it one more time. Continuing to battle right now is Griffin Boone in the longest at-bat of the ballgame.
And this is the kind of at-bat that Boone is going to point to when he's, hoping to get some more time in the lineup. We mentioned this is just his second start of the year, but you need these productive at-bats. You got to crack into this tough lineup somehow. This is the kind of at-bat that's going to win that. And now he draws a walk. That was a big, big at-bat for Boone.
That's one of the better at-bats Griffin Boone has put together in VCU colors. And it moves the situation to 2 on and 2 out, and it will also crucially flip the lineup card back around for Casey Kleinman, who is 0 for 2 today, but has 4 RBIs under his belt so far this season.
Because the guy he's going against there for that DH role in particular, where he's playing today, is Zyrus. And Zyrus has had a very, very strong start to the season. So you got to crack in somewhere. It's hard to get into this VCU offense the way they've swung the bats, but that kind of at-bat will make Coach LaCroix think about it more.
That one's lifted in the air, left center field. Martin and Lambros both giving chase. The center fielder, Lambros, will track it down on the run, and that ends the inning. Kleinman gave the first pitch of the at-bat a ride, but Elijah Lambros used that speed to track it down and end the inning. VCU gets half of the runs back, though. We're through 4 innings of play in Richmond, Virginia. It's 4-2 Terps on ESPN+. Top of the 5th inning here in Richmond, where the wind has continued to blow, and it's blown one of the flags right off of the flagpole, Joe.
Yeah, the VCU flag is usually accompanying the American flag there, but with all the wind that has whipped around today in the Richmond area, it has left its post there on the flagpole. Hopefully somebody from VCU is able to locate that.
VCU offense hasn't left, though. It grabs 2 runs back in the bottom half of the 4th inning to cut the Maryland lead to 4-2. And we get set for the top half of the 5th inning of play, and James McGrady remains out there on the bump for the VCU Rams. Came in release of Cam Knuckles, and so far, in relief rather, of Cam Knuckles, and so far has thrown 2 1/3 innings of scoreless baseball. He's allowed 3 hits. He hasn't walked a batter, crucially, and he struck out 3, and that no free passes number is really the important one after Knuckles walked 3 and hit a batter as well in his inning and 2/3 of work. Chris Hakopian, that is, starts out with ball 1. Chris is 0 for 2, including reaching on an error back in the third, as brother Eddie is 2 for 3 leading off the lineup. And a check swing by Hakopian fouls it back, and it's a ball and a strike. Chris, another one of those top 10 players in the state of Maryland coming out of high school that Terps were able to bring to College Park. Pops that one foul and out of play as well. It's 1-2 out of Winston Churchill High School in Montgomery County, Potomac, Maryland native. Was the second-ranked shortstop in the entire state. The top-ranked shortstop was the top-ranked overall player in the state, Lee Ellis, who picked South Carolina. 1-2 misses downstairs. It's 2-2.
And we mentioned how big this half inning is for both teams. If you're Maryland, you want to put a stop to this VCU momentum, and you want to get some of those runs back that you just gave up in the bottom half. If you're VCU, you'd love nothing more than a shutdown inning. 3 up, 3 down, and then force Maryland to make a decision. Is Melendez coming back out, or are you switching it up?
That one's laced down the right field line, giving chases. Hill, he dives, he's not going to get there, and it's going to be extra bases for Hakopian. Hill gave full sell out that time down the right field line, fighting against the wind too, but came up just a bit short, and Hakopian's at second to lead off the inning.
And that's one, especially leading off, you're probably better to let that one land in front of you and field it cleanly and hold him to a single. Now Maryland, with the leadoff man, they get him into scoring position, and it puts a threat on McGrady for the rest of the inning.
And here is Keister with the first baseman Wiesner on the infield grass. But misses below the knees. The thinking for Hill, perhaps, that it wasn't hit terribly sharply, so even if he does come up empty, it's not going to bounce all the way away from him into the wall, and that could be a triple or even more for Hakopian. But it is a double for Chris to start things off, as that one's popped higher than it is deep. Right side of the infield, McHugh calling off the first baseman Wiesner, and he makes the catch. And there's one away. That's a big first out because it keeps Hakopian at second.
And you can just see it there on McHugh. Like, the way he's got the legs bent the whole time, and he's ready to shift and move at the last second because the way that ball is drifting around, you can see how tough it is for these infielders today.
Everything up, especially those that are up in the air, not hit all that hard, because then the ball doesn't have much velocity. It's a lot more at the whims of the wind, just up into a wind tunnel, especially in the infield. First pitch on the outside edge to Calarco. He's had an eventful day. Was hit by a pitch and scored back in the second. Struck out swinging back in the third. The one offering to the Terps DH. Bounce to the right side. That's Wiesner who will take it to the bag himself. Hakopian gets the third, but there's 2 gone. That'll set up a situation for Elijah Lambros, who showed off that speed out there in center field to track down the ball hit by Kleinman to end the bottom half of the 4th inning.
Well, this is an opportunity for McGrady. After giving up the leadoff double, you get a pop-up in the infield where the runner can't advance, then a ground ball to first to pick up your second out. Getting Lambros here would be massive for McGrady and his confidence.
First pitch fouled right back to the backstop, and it's 0-1. Lambros had 56 RBIs a season ago, in which he slugged .541, got third team All Big Ten honors. Already 5 RBIs here in 2024. And number 6 is standing 90 feet away in the form of Chris Hakopian. Wave and a miss at that one, 0-2. And now the options really open up for McGrady. Although we'll see how far McGrady wants to extend the strike zone, as Lambros going to go have a chat with the Maryland third base coach. Knowing that you do have that runner over at third kind of constricts how far you can try to get Lambros to chase, knowing that anything that gets away from the catcher Kleinman is going to be trouble.
And this might be a bit of gamesmanship here to break up McGrady's rhythm, because he, since that double, has been in a rhythm. He has been pounding the strike zone.
Trying to get James McGrady off what he's been doing, because what he's been doing as of late, save for the Hakopian double, has been really solid and has kept VCU in this ballgame. The 0-2 to Lambros. Swung on and missed. Dropped but tagged immediately. And a big-time strikeout for James McGrady to get out of the inning. Terps get a leadoff double, do absolutely nothing with it. We're halfway home in Richmond. Terps protecting a 4-2 lead over VCU. Welcome back to Richmond, Virginia, the site of the Diamond in this matinee matchup between Maryland and VCU. We head to the bottom half of the 5th inning, and Omar Melendez's day is done after 4 innings of work. It is Logan Berrier, the redshirt senior transfer from Longwood, who toes the rubber for Maryland, protecting this 4-2 lead against the 2, 3, and 4 batters in the order. Berrier making his 3rd appearance of the season, last played against Pittsburgh on the 24th of February through 2 innings of scoreless baseball, allowed just 1 hit, no walks, and 2 strikeouts, also through 4 innings of work against Georgia Southern in the opening weekend of the Maryland season. He'll face Brandon Ike, Aiden Hill, and Chris McHugh to start things off, as Omar Melendez's day is done for the visitors. Through 4 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 3 hits, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. 66 pitches in total for the Puerto Rican.
And Berrier, so far here in the early portion of the season, has been a bit of a strikeout pitcher. He's racked up 8 through just 6 innings. That's kind of what Maryland would love to see out of the Longwood transfer if he's going to be a valuable portion of this bullpen.
Ike swings and misses at the first pitch. 6 of those strikeouts came in the 4 innings at Georgia Southern. What was a big 5-4 win back on the 16th of February. Really strong start to the season, going to a school that has put a lot into its baseball program, Georgia Southern. Nice play by Honar over on the left side of the infield in unfamiliar territory. Playing more shortstop position, the second baseman is able to snag the hard hit ball by Ike, and there's 1 away.
And I think Ike's going to need a new bat after that one, because it looked like part of his bat left the barrel after he put that one into play. But nice job by Maryland there to get the leadoff man out, because after stranding that runner in scoring position, it kind of felt like, okay, man, maybe things are really going VCU's way, especially with the dangerous hitter like Ike leading off.
Berrier, a really solid weapon for Maryland in 2024 because he had experience both in the rotation and coming out of the bullpen for the Lancers. Spent first 3 seasons at Longwood in the pen and then moved into the starting rotation back in 2023. Made 11 starts with a 5.24 ERA. Now moves to 1-1, so you can move him into the starting lineup if something were to happen to one of your main 3 pitchers in the weekend rotation. You can use him in midweeks to start. You can use him in long relief to eat up innings. You have a guy who can do a little bit of everything, which is a huge weapon to have in your pen. 1-1 is in there for a strike to Hill, who is 0 for 2 today with a strikeout.
Well, I think you see, 6 innings through 2 appearances. They'd love for him to get 3 more innings here. And if they do, that gets you to the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Then you can go to that back-end guy of your bullpen if you want.
That ball is laced by Hill into left center field. Another long run for Lambros, and again, he will catch up to it. Lambros was shaded over towards right center field with the lefty hitting Hill up, but still was able to track it down, and there's 2 away. Berrier, a recipient or beneficiary, really, of one of the parts of this COVID eligibility side of things that we haven't talked about as much, and that's the academic side of things. He's getting his master's degree of professional studies in product management at Maryland after he spent 4 years at Longwood. That's another side of things that really has been opened a lot of doors for a lot of guys to continue their academic studies as well, especially if professional sports isn't necessarily in the future for him. As McHugh will step up to the plate, counts 1-0 to the second baseman, who's 0 for 2 today. 2-0 now.
I was say, that's the thing that gets a lot of chuckles, especially when you're looking at football, because they get a ton of notice when it's, oh, this guy's in his 7th year of eligibility or whatever. But you've just touched on it, Ben. That's for players that don't have the eyes at the professional level. That's a great way to pick up an advanced degree and then take that with you into the job market.
It kind of sets you up for the real world.
Yeah.
So it is post college baseball. Count moves to 2-1 now to McHugh. Count moves to 2-2 after that one's fouled away. And we both covered a lot of college sports. I've seen a lot of times in the transfer portal coaches saying, hey, we want to keep this person or we want to go get this person in the portal, but the college that we work for just doesn't have that program that they're looking for. So a lot of it does come down to situations beyond, hey, we need a left fielder per se.
Absolutely.
2-2 to McHugh. And he spoils that one foul to the first base side. Maryland's dugout on that first base side. VCU, the hosts, set up on the third base line.
McHugh right now trying to channel Griffin Boone from earlier last inning, fouling off a bunch of 2-strike pitches and finding a way to reach base.
Wiesner, who started out that 4th inning rally, waiting on deck should the inning continue. Another 2-2 offering, bounced back up the middle. Keister arranging to his left, throws on the run in time to beat McHugh by a step, and a 1-2-3 inning for Logan Berrier in the bottom of the fifth. We're through 5 innings in Richmond, Virginia. It's 4-2 Maryland on ESPN+. Welcome back to Richmond A10 Baseball here on ESPN Plus as we head to the 6th inning. VCU trailing Maryland 4-2, and a new pitcher on the hill for the Rams is Evan Burt, making his 2024 debut. The sophomore threw 14 times back in 2023, over 34 innings, 10 appearances out of the bullpen, and 4 starts with an 8.21 ERA. He'll face the bottom third of the Maryland order as James McGrady's day has done really solid job by McGrady just to keep VCU in the ballgame and allow the offense to get going. 3 1/3 innings of work for McGrady. No runs allowed, 4 hits, no walks, and 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, and that's what they needed. They needed somebody to come in and eat up some innings. 3 1/3 is massive, and now they turn the ball over to the sophomore from the Shenandoah Valley in Harrisonburg, Virginia, which is right over the mountain and up 81 a little ways. It's actually where JMU is, if you're familiar with Harrisonburg area. But now Evan Burt, he's come here to VCU, and it's, as you said, it's his debut of 2024, and he's getting valuable experience against a solid Big Ten program.
If you ask Bradley LaCroix if you accept getting 5 innings combined out of Knuckles and McGrady, he'd probably take it, just not necessarily in the split that had happened with an inning and 2/3 from Knuckles and 3 1/3 from McGrady. But VCU gets to the 6th inning, still very much in this ball game, as Orr is behind the count 0-2.
But you talked about the 4 strikeouts that McGrady was able to rack up, and it felt like they all came in crucial situations with runners on base.
0-2 offering to Orr, swung on and missed. And Orr is down on strikes for the first time today. Good start to 2024 for Evan Burt.
Well, and he's picking up where McGrady left off by picking up a strikeout. And this is what will give this young man some confidence in his debut. You don't let that leadoff man on. McGrady did a better job than Knuckles, as that one's in there for a strike. But it's all about not falling behind the hitters. Baseball sometimes is a simple game. When you're ahead in the count, you have your whole arsenal. You don't have to force the fastball.
Charlie Glennon took a first pitch fastball for a strike, and count now moves to a ball and a strike to the catcher, who's 0 for 2 today. The Denison College transfer at 346 was first team all-conference at the D3 level. His first game as a Terrapin against Georgia Southern went 1 for 2 with 2 walks, a double, and a run scored. So there's that jump from D3 to D1 and not missing a beat that we were talking about earlier. 2 balls and a strike now to the 5th-year catcher from New Rochelle in New York and New Rochelle High School. 2-1 offering. Launched in the air to left field. Ian Newsy going all the way back to the track, to the wall. He looks up, it's out of here. First home run in his Maryland career for Charlie Glennon, and it's 5-2 Maryland.
Well, we talked about the importance of getting ahead. He got ahead with the first pitch, but then quickly fell behind, put the fastball there, and Glennon just with the wind blowing out to left field, although wind or no wind, that one was getting out. That one was given an absolute ride.
It's 330 down the lines here at the Diamond. That one was a little bit shaded over towards left center, and it cleared the fence and then some. As squaring to bunt and pulling back is Martin, and it's 1-0. As soon as it left the bat, Glennon knew it, and with good reason. Again, Martin squares to bunt, drops it foul down the third base side. It's 1-1. And so the polar opposite starts to 2024 for Evan Burt. The three outcome baseball has become something of a bit of cliche, the walk, strikeout, or home run. But the strikeout and the home run, the first two plate appearances that Burt has. And now it's 2-1 to Martin. It's really just become a shorthand for the disappearance of small ball in 2024, what baseball is in the modern age, but taken quite literally to start off Evan Burt's 2024. And now it's 3-1.
Yeah, it's more something in the pro level than in the college level, but you're exactly right. I mean, the joy of getting that strikeout, then you fall behind a Glennon, and the 8-hitter just absolutely punishes the ball, and you see it leave the fence, or leave the diamond, and now you got to buckle down and regroup.
So those are the three outcomes: the strikeout, the home run, and the walk, all in quick succession here in the top half of the sixth for Evan Burt. And Martin is aboard for Hakopian as the lineup card flips back around. Terps will send the leadoff man to the plate for the fourth time today.
And this is a tough out. I mean, this is a guy hitting, well, he's hitting 429. It's over 400. He's already driven in a couple runs today. You have got to hit the strike zone here if you're Evan Burt. You got to regroup after the home run and the walk.
On base streak moves to 15 games for Hakopian after he singled back in the second. He's 2 for 3 today with a pair of singles. Loves hitting against A10 opposition. Last year, faced GW, went 2 for 5 with a home run and 4 RBIs over the course of 2 games. That's a closer play, and they got him. Pickoff at first, and Martin is down, and the first base coach for Maryland asking for them to take another look at it.
Yeah, we'll see here on the replay. Martin did take that extra step after the first move from Burt, but the first move, unfortunately for Martin, was to first. Now, he's called out. They're going to ask for this to be reviewed. The first review went the way of Maryland, and we'll see here on this replay. Well, live, it's close again. Martin maybe looked like he got that hand back in. Let's see here on this one with it slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, you make a good point, though, Joe. That first move hitched towards second base. It's tough to see towards that back part of the bag whether he snuck his hand in. It's an excellent move regardless by Burt.
And kind of like we talked on that first one where it's hard to tell from the one angle if the ball's in the back of the glove or not. Here it's hard to tell if that hand, because it's blocked by the foot of Wiesner.
It could be another situation where it's really tough to change the call that was made on the field.
Right. And that's just the view from the pitcher. But the other reason the umpire makes that call on such a bang-bang play is when he sees that runner take that first move toward the other side and then it's so close, he's gonna ring him up. It's kind of like when a runner is going, but the ball beats him by so much, the umpire 9 times out of 10 is just going to punch him.
Yeah, Martin kind of loses the benefit of the doubt when he takes that first step.
I don't think that
second.
hand's not on the base. I think that foot is blocked. Wiesner's foot blocks it. I don't think Martin does touch the base. Because if we can see the replay one more time, you will see the hand doesn't quite reach the bag when the replay is done. I think Wiesner does a great job of blocking the bag. I think that hand is on the foot. Because when the foot leaves, his hand is short.
Is still short of the bag. That's a really good
I think that call needs to stand.
And you also get to a point where, we don't have a stopwatch on it, but it's been a couple of minutes now. And there's now they're going to have all three come and have a conversation. There's the point of, hey, if it takes this long to decide, there's clearly not enough indisputable evidence to overturn the call on the field. Although bringing in the third umpire could have a conversation about whether or not Martin had a lane back to that base if you're talking about Wiesner blocking it.
And he is going to be called out.
So there is, in fact, 2 gone, and wipe the bases off for Maryland as Martin is picked off.
Yeah, and Wiesner has, nice size cleats, but I don't think the size of the cleat covers the whole bag. So I think the case there would have been, well, he could have gone to the back of the bag. He just chose to go toward the middle of the bag, and that's where Wiesner was standing.
You don't often see all three umpires have a conversation for that long. Usually it's just a quick heads up, hey, this is our call. But they had a few words, so you wonder if it was something rules-based as well, just to confirm that. 2-0, though, to Hakopian, who changes the mindset of his at-bat a little bit. Wind is really blowing out towards left field now. 3-0. And if you're a right-handed power hitter and you see the wind going like that, you're just asking for a fastball on the inner half that you can pull.
Yeah, it's maybe not a bad idea to go ahead and just put him on at this point.
Doesn't get much easier with Honar up next, although he is a lefty. And Hakopian takes the strike. Eddie Hakopian, that is. His batting average now after a 2-for-3 day extends all the way up to .429. 3-1 offering misses outside, and Hakopian has reached in 3 of his 4 plate appearances. Of course, you do have to take the small sample size, not with a grain of salt, but just in context of what it is so far. Hakopian now 12 for 27, and we'll get ourselves a mound visit.
They were looking at the bullpen. I'm not sure that we aren't going to have a pitching change here.
And Evan Burt will have the baseball asked away from him, and VCU will go back to the bullpen and send their 4th arm of the game onto the bump. We'll tell you all about the new Rams pitcher when we return to A10 Baseball on ESPN+. Will Gross is the new VCU pitcher, the 4th one of the day. The junior from El Paso, Texas, and El Paso Community College will toe the rubber for the 2nd time in his VCU season through 2/3 of an innings of scoreless baseball at NC State 10 days ago. Only faced a couple of batters, did strike out 1 in what was a 5-3 loss to a darn good Wolfpack team as well. So now he steps into a situation with 2 out and 1 on in the top half of the 6th inning in a 4-2 ball game against Sam Honar, who's had a day to forget so far today.
Yeah, he's had a hat trick of strikeouts no matter who's been on the mound. He hasn't been able to put the ball in play. And I think for him right now, that's crucial, right? Even if you're out and the inning ends here, you just want to see the ball get in play after you struck out 3 straight times. Now, on the flip side for Will Gross, you're coming in here and you're looking to get this inning over. So if the ball's put in play and it's an out, great, but you touched on it. 2/3 of an inning, he struck out 1 of the guys. That's an extremely small sample size, but Will Gross does have the stuff to rack up strikeouts. He does have that in his arsenal.
NC State, by the way, number 14 in the latest D1.com rankings. They are a really, really good ball club as the count moves to 0-1. We were talking earlier about the absolute gauntlet in the non-conference that Bradley LaCroix put together. That'll only make you sharper for an A10 that is wide, wide open this year. VCU picked to finish 5th in the conference in 2024 as the 0-1 fouled away, and it's 0-2. But 7 different teams picked up at least 1 first-place vote in the preseason poll. It is as open as it's been in a number of years in the A10.
And it was a crazy A10 tournament last year with George Mason, one of the middle seeds, coming in to win the thing, and actually one of the bottom seeds in the tournament because only 7 made it. But it was a wild conference tournament.
Patriots picked to finish 2nd this year behind St. Louis. There's still check back to Hakopian. He's back in safely. St. Louis, George Mason, St. Joe's, Davidson, VCU, the top 5 in the A10 preseason poll in 2024. Of course, it's all guesswork, but it's just good to have kind of a baseline heading into conference play. Honar behind in the count again. 0-2. Chin music, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Rams, go ahead.
For Honar there, Ben, you're glad to see that one miss up and in an easier take, because when you're down 0-2, I'm sure mentally it's going through his head, oh no, not again.
Lefty versus lefty, and the 1-2 offering to Honar with Hakopian on first is hit to the right side. Nice play by Wiesner. He'll take it to the bag himself, and that's all for Maryland in the top half of the 6th. They strand the runner Hakopian, but only after Charlie Glennon goes deep. I mean way deep. And it's a 5-2 ball game as we head to the bottom of the 6th on ESPN+. Bottom 6 as VCU looks to climb back into this one here in Richmond. 5 runs on 5 hits for the Terps. 2 runs on 3 hits for the Rams, with that 1 error coming in the top half of the 3rd inning as well. 5-6-7 due up for VCU alongside Joe Deck. I'm Ben Curtis. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Wednesday afternoon as Wiesner, who singled and scored back in that 4th inning where Maryland conceded both of those VCU runs. And he'll lead off the bottom half of the 6th inning yet again against Logan Barrier, who is back out there. And it's 0-1 now to the first baseman for VCU. 4 runs in the 2nd inning for Maryland, 1 more in the top half of the 6th off the Glennon solo shot. 2 runs in the bottom of the 4th to answer back for VCU, and that's where we stand now at 5-2.
Yeah, and if you're VCU here in the 2nd inning will work for Barrier, you're trying to do what you did against Melendez toward the end of his outing.
That one's laced out towards first, and a nice play by Hakopian. That's Eddie Hakopian going airborne to snag that one. And there's 1 gone here on the bottom of the 6th as Wiesner's robbed.
Yeah, that was an absolute rocket, and Hakopian makes the diving catch. I mean, that's a top 10 play nominee there. I mean, that was a special diving catch there.
That is even better on second look, as that's just pure instincts from Eddie Hakopian. What a play that was. As the first pitch to Iannuzzi runs downstairs. Have to imagine we'll see that on fair share of social media in the next coming days. And Eddie Hakopian not missing a beat over there at first base. 1-0 off the outside edge. It's 2-0. We were looking at VCU's schedule, by the way, and talking about the A10 coming up. Rams will start off their A10 play on the final weekend of March. It'll be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series at home at the Diamond against UMass. The 2-0 is back above our heads, and it's 2-1. Minutemen making a little bit of news in the A10.
Yeah, well, also for the MAC, I guess. But yeah, that's something that VCU's going to get a nice opener there against UMass. It's not to beat up on the Minutemen, but it's a baseball program that's still very much in a rebuilding phase.
That one's punched to the right side where there's nobody in red and gray. There were 3 on the right side, on the left side rather, of the infield. And Iannuzzi did a really good job of just punching it the other way to the open space. He's 3 for 3 today. And a big reason VCU's still in this ballgame.
And I think, honestly, that's in large part to because his first 2 at-bats, he's ripping it down the line and left. And so Maryland thinks, okay, you've been pulling everything, let's shift over a little bit. And then he slaps it the other way. Iannuzzi already this year has showcased his ability to go to all the ends of the field when he's at the plate. He's having a great game. But this is what VCU needed to do, is to finish my earlier point against Barrier. What they did against the end of the outing for Melendez was put balls in play, make him work on the mound.
First pitch to Bean, runs inside, nearly clipped him, and it's 1-0. It's also worth noting, just looking at the A10, not to get too far ahead of ourselves because it's not towards the end of March, but that is what these non-conference games for a program like VCU are, to build up for the A10 slate. It's worth noting that in that preseason poll, VCU faces only one of the top 3 teams in that preseason poll in the regular season. They will go to Fairfax to take on the defending conference tournament champs George Mason, but St. Louis and St. Joe's 1 and 3, not on the regular season docket for VCU. 1-1 offering. That's to the right side as well. That'll get into right field. Racing towards second is Iannuzzi. He'll stop there, but the Rams will bring the tying run to the plate in the form of Cooper Benson.
Again, you're making Barrier work. It was a 12-pitch first inning for Barrier, and already here he's having to work a little bit more. He's already thrown 9 pitches this inning. And, of course, with runners at first and second, a ground ball could very well end this inning quickly. But at least you're getting on base. You're seeing Barrier from the stretch now. That's back-to-back singles. Now you have a dangerous hitter here in Cooper Benson that absolutely could help you chip away with one swing of the bat.
Already has an RBI today. Sacrifice fly in the 4th. At the time, cut the deficit down to 4-2. Pitch misses outside. It's 1-0. It's also worth noting, kind of that same vein of the regular season schedule, not linking up for some high battles in terms of the preseason poll. Number 1 in the Big Ten, Iowa does not face number 3 in the Big Ten, Maryland, in the regular season. That will have to happen in Omaha if it happens at all. 1-0 misses outside, 2 balls and no strikes. Most trouble that Logan Barrier has been in all day. There's a righty who is up and getting loose in the Maryland pen down the right field line. Griffin Boone awaiting on deck. Chance for the Rams to get back into it. Squaring to pull around to bunt, and then pulling back is Benson, and it's 3-0. That could, just as anything else, be an opportunity to keep Barrier off his rhythm. Although Benson is as good of a guy to bunt as anyone in Division I. Back in 2022, finished 3rd in all of D1 in sacrifice bunts. So if you need a guy to lay one down, it's probably him, but with 1 out already recorded, probably not going to be in the game plan to actually get one down. Count moves to 3-1.
Yeah, I think the deficit's a little too big to probably lay the sac bunt down, but Cooper Benson is a guy that is so good at it. And he also has the ability to turn some of those sac bunts into bunt singles.
3-1. To the left side, through for a base hit. Rounding third is Iannuzzi. He'll be sent home. Martin's throw to the plate is offline and not in time. It's an RBI single for Benson, and the lead is down to 5-3.
Well, the bottom of the order continuing to plague the Terrapins here. They have been absolutely on fire, and because Melendez, who was a lefty, is now out, and Barrier, who's a righty, is on the mound, we're going to see that switch for Boone, and now they bring back in the dangerous hitting Zyrus.
Devin Zyrus, the redshirt freshman out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so far this season, Zyrus 5 for 18, has managed to pick up 4 RBIs, does have a triple this year.
Went 2 for 6 in 2 games against NC State. It's another really good ball club here in Maryland with an opportunity to do some damage. First pitch is in there for a strike. Lineup card does flip around with Kleinman awaiting in the on-deck circle. Barrier on the other side of that coin is just 1 ground ball away from getting out of this inning without any further damage. 0-1. Big cut and a miss. And it's 0-2 to Zyrus. The runner at second, Bean with good speed. Benson at first with good speed as well after driving in RBI number 6 of the season. Rams out hitting Maryland now 6-5. 0-2 back up the middle. Keister ranges over, steps on second for 1, throws to first in time. That's a huge double play to get Maryland out of the jam without any further damage done. But Cooper Benson with an RBI single to score Ethan Iannuzzi, who's got 3 hits today. And VCU gets the run right back after the Glennon home run in the top half of the inning. We're through 6 innings of play in Richmond. It's 5-3 Maryland. A10 Baseball on ESPN Plus will return. Top half of the 7th inning here in Richmond, Virginia. 5-3 Maryland. To take you the rest of the way home for the play-by-play, here's Joe Deck.
Thank you, Ben. And it is 5-3 Maryland and VCU. As you mentioned, Maryland scoring in the top of the 6th to make it 5-2, but the Rams get that run back. The inning ending on the double play, though, as Maryland's defense had a couple of nice plays. That ball that was well fielded by Keister up the middle, and then the diving catch to lead off the inning from Eddie Hakopian, which was a first down. I mean, imagine if that one had gotten through, the amount of damage VCU might have been able to do that inning. So the glove helping Maryland keep the lead here and due up for the Terrapins here in the 7th. It's going to be 3, 4, and 5. Chris Hakopian, Kevin Keister, and Alex Calarco.
The glove for Maryland so far this year has been really good. Only 7 errors committed all season long. .975 fielding percentage.
And so with Chris Hakopian stepping up, 1 for 3, a double his last time up. Also has reached on an error and a ground out to third so far. First pitch strike on a slow breaking ball there from Will Gross, who's back out on the mound for his second inning of work. That one is hit right back up the middle and through into center field. Second hit of the day for the freshman, Chris Hakopian.
Well, Chris watched his brother Eddie have 2 hits earlier on in the ball game. He says, hey, I need to get 2 hits too, especially after his brother just had that dynamite defensive play. Chris gets a little closer to getting even. He's reached for 3 times today, including the error. And Maryland gets started in the 7th.
Now Kevin Keister, who ended the VCU rally in the bottom of the 6th, will come up to the plate and look to start one here in the top of the 7th for Maryland. Gross takes a peek over at Hakopian. Now brings the pitch in. It's another first pitch strike from Gross.
Keister with a really important leadership role for Maryland in 2024 with a first-year head coach who's been with the program for quite some time, but making the jump up from assistant to head coach. It's going to be a period of transition. Keister, one of the veterans on this Maryland team. This is at-bat number 494 for him in a Maryland jersey. That's a lot of time spent with the program, and wearing that number 3, that's become something of a tradition in the Maryland program to give to one of the leaders, one of the captains on the team. Randy Bednar, Chris Allen, Luke Schliger have all worn that number 3 jersey, all been crucial pieces for Maryland in the past.
He'll take an 0-2 pitch and lift it into right field. Hill is there. He'll make the catch, 1 away here in the 7th. Now we'll see Alex Calarco looking for his first hit. 0 for 2. He was hit by a pitch in the second inning. He would come around to score in what was the big inning of the ball game. So far, in that top of the 2nd, the Terrapins would score 4, despite only getting 1 hit in the inning. Gross missing downstairs this time. It's 1-0.
That number 3 jersey tradition was started by Anthony Papio, who was first a player, then an assistant coach for those runs to the regionals by Maryland. Followed head coach Rob Vaughn to Alabama.
Swung on and missed, and now it's 1-1 as Gross goes back to the breaking ball, and this time Calarco can't hold off. Well, we've seen Gross use that bender quite a bit here this inning already. Had some success with it. This time misses downstairs. It's now 2-1.
Yeah, he's pitching backwards, which often you see indicate that you start off with a breaking ball to set up the fastball as opposed to the conventional way of starting off with a fastball to set up the off speed.
Long look over at first. Now the throw in. Misses downstairs. 3-1.
I'll tell you what, though, he's also taking quite a bit of time with those curveballs to get to home plate. Chris Acopia, not necessarily one to run, but the amount of time between when he picks up his leg and when the ball is out of his hand is longer than usual.
Yeah, it is a long stretch. That one squirts past Kleinman, so it's a walk either way. But runners will be held at first and second as Kleinman got to it before Akopian could think about racing off to third.
Another right-handed pitcher getting loose for VCU. Down the left field line, can't quite make out a number, but we'll see how much patience VCU has with Gross out there. I think it's the home plate umpire who's getting the attention right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he didn't catch part of that ball that came through past Kleinman.
That's Tony Carilli, the home plate umpire. He's at the center of attention now. Yeah, with the way that it squirted away, it did kind of look like it. We'll get a view here. Yep. And that might have rang right off of his kneecap or his thigh or whatever that is. Does not feel good at all.
No, that's painful. Maybe just needs a minute here. Hopefully he's going to be able to finish the game because the umpire's jobs aren't easy, and it gets even harder when you're a man down. But it looks like Tony Carilli is going to stay in the game here. And it looks like VCU is going to do him a solid by going to the bullpen and buying him some more time. So the Rams will make the pitching change. We'll be back with more A10 college baseball on ESPN Plus after this. VCU going to the bullpen once again, and now it will be number 16 for the Rams, and that is the senior Owen Tappy. The right-hander for the Rams is a grad student from Charlotte, North Carolina. Another one of those D3 to D1 players we were talking about. Used to play at Hamden Sydney, and now making the transfer here up the road a little bit to Richmond, Virginia, and now he's a VCU Ram. And for Tappy, he's going to come in with a runner for Maryland standing at first and second base with only one out. He'll face Elijah Lambros. So far this year for Tappy, he's 0-1 with a save in 4 innings. He's given up 4 earned runs, 5 runs total. He has struck out 6 and walked 1, but he got into some trouble in his last outing, and that really caused the ERA to climb up a bit.
Yeah, 2 outings under his belt so far for Tappy. It was feast and famine. In his first outing against NC State, 2 really clean innings, no runs, no walks, no hits, 3 strikeouts against, as we already said, a really good Wolfpack team. And then against Merrimack, just ran into a ton of trouble in his 2 innings there. 4 earned runs, 1 more unearned, 4 hits, a walk, had 3 strikeouts as well, but in that 16-12 ugly loss to Merrimack. So we'll see what Tappy has in store here in outing number 3.
And he had, the strikeouts in the first inning against Merrimack that he came in, struck out the side, almost an immaculate inning, as that one is in there for a strike. But then he came in, hit a batter, walked a batter, some hits piled up on him. It really created a problem. Gets ahead of Lambros here, 0-1. That one will miss outside, 1-1. Couldn't get Lambros to chase.
We talk about the batting averages being tough to contextualize in this small of a sample size. The ERA is even worse. You got 4 innings under your belt, 1 bad inning, and it really looks much worse than it really is.
That's in there for strike 2, especially, when you're looking at that second weekend, it's the second appearance for some guys. If they didn't get an out the first time, then the ERA is technically infinite, and by the time you get it out, you're like, oh, great, now my ERA is just 27. So that one is up the middle and through into center field. This won't help the ERA of Gross, as that is going to be an RBI for Maryland, as quickly Elijah Lambros cashes in a Terrapin run.
That's a really good piece of hitting by Lambros, just taking that ball right back up the middle and into center field. Center cut pitch by Tappy, just trying to get ahead in the count, and Lambros made him pay for it.
So now with runners at first and second once again with 1 out, now it's Jacob Orr. 0 for 2, but he did draw a walk, would have reached on a fielder's choice. Now he's squaring around to bunt, pulls back, and it misses. It's ball 1. Orr struck out his last time up. Tappy could really use a strikeout right now. He could also use a ground ball. This one is instead hit on a line to right field. Aiden Hill drifts back. He'll make the catch. Runner will stay at second base, and there's now 2 down.
That's a really tough play out there at second to try to decide on for Calarco, because you have to freeze when the ball's hit on a line like that, and you have to retreat back to second base. Usually you'd think, hey, fly ball to right field if you're at second. Should be tagging and moving to third, but it never really got that far off the ground. Hill with a good arm in right field, and Calarco has to stay put.
Now we'll see Charlie Glennon, who punished a baseball to left field last time. 2 RBIs in the game for Glennon. 1 on the solo home run in his last at-bat. That's a strike. Picked up another one on a ground out to first, back part of that 4-run inning in the second. No balls, 1 strike, 2 down. Here comes the pitch from Tappy. That one is swung on and fouled away. It's now 0-2 on Glennon.
Bottom part of the lineup for both teams doing a lot of the damage. Lambros with the RBI single. He's the 6-hole hitter. Glennon in the 8 spot as the home run. And then for VCU, we've talked about it all day. Iannuzzi with the 3-hit day, a couple of doubles, a couple of runs scored. Cooper Benson with the 2 RBIs under his belt.
On up the middle, bounces off of Tappy. He recovers, flips it over to first in time to Wiesner, and the Rams get out of it, but a run does score for Maryland in the top of the 7th. It's 6-3 as we go stretching here at the Diamond. New pitcher for Maryland is number 16, Garrett French, as the Terrapins here in the bottom of the 7th will make the change. It closes the book on Barrier, who went 2 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. It was earned. Didn't walk or strike out anybody, but, a solid outing, 2 innings, gave the Terrapins enough to keep the lead. And as he checks out, he'll turn the ball over, as we said, to the senior Garrett French. And the Terrapins will now hope that French can keep them in the lead and close this one out.
French making his second appearance of the season and his second in his Maryland career. Gave up 1 earned run on 2 innings, 2 hits as well, and 3 strikeouts in the loss to Washington last weekend. Another one of those in-conference transfers. Started his career at Rutgers before heading down I-95 to College Park.
And so for French, again, the red shirt senior there from Red Bank, New Jersey. He'll face the top of the order for the Rams. Casey Kleinman first up. Watches that miss low and away. It's 1-0. Of course, as we've touched on, top of the order hasn't been the problem for the Terrapins. It's been the bottom of the Rams order, and the same for VCU, although the Terrapins leadoff man, Eddie Harkopian, did have a 2 RBI base hit. This is a leadoff single for Kleinman. It's his first hit of the game, and he's now 1 for 4.
It's a really good start for VCU, who every time that they seem to get a little bit closer, Maryland seems to battle them right back. Rams got the 2 in the bottom half of the 4th. The Glennon home run extended the lead back. VCU gets 1 back in the bottom half of the 6th. Maryland gets 1 back in the top half of the 7th.
First time we've seen Brandon Ike up with a runner on. He's 0 for 2, and he was hit by a pitch. Take strike 1 on the outside corner. Ike so far this year with 4 home runs already through 8 games, 12 RBIs. Pickoff move from French sees Kleinman diving back in.
You have to imagine Kleinman probably not on the move in this kind of spot. You're going to need his run anyway at this stage of the game. So you're just looking for as many base runners as you can, as much traffic on the base paths as you can.
That one misses 1-1. Yeah, as long as you're kind of looking over there and not getting into the same rhythm on the way to the plate where the base runner feels like he can time you, I would agree with you, Ben. I don't think we're going to see him jump unless French just absolutely starts ignoring him. And with the bat of Ike at the plate, you really don't want to try to squander an opportunity here with a base runner on. That's in there for strike 2. It's now 1 ball, 2 strikes to Brandon Ike.
Sure, yesterday was quite the moment for Ike, going back to Chapel Hill where he started his college career, transferred from UNC after 2022.
Yeah, and actually, as this pitch comes in and it's swung on and chopped towards short, a little bit of a collision there, and because of the collision between Chris Hakopian and Keister, that allows Ike to reach first base without a throw.
It's going to be a tough scoring decision, but regardless, it's going to bring the tying run to the plate in the form of Hill.
Yeah, single is the way it's going to be officially ruled, and I think because there's not a throw over there, I think that's the reason you can't charge an error unless, there's a collision, but typically that doesn't result in an error. I don't know who you would charge it to. Pitch on the way, misses low and away. It's ball 1.
You're talking, though, about Ike going back to Chapel Hill, Joe, and that's always, a strange moment. You got good memories. You're with a new team, though, now. They're your opponents now. Mm-hmm. But Ike back here in Richmond now for a home Wednesday.
Ike actually got to, not the first time he's been back to Chapel Hill, as it's 1-1. Mm-hmm. North Carolina was a team they played in the regionals when he was a member of the VCU Rams, and then he also got to open up last year at Chapel Hill as well. That one, Hill will foul into the seats.
Business decision from a man in the 3rd row to initially take his arms out to try to grab that, and then realized, hey, that ball's spinning pretty quick. We might want to play that off the carom.
Yeah, I think a buddy was giving him a hard time, and he was saying, uncatchable. But we'll see what French has here for Hill as Hill swings and drives this into center field. Racing back is Lambros. It's back, and that ball is a property of the city of Richmond. A 3-run line drive homer that scrapes the wall, but it counts the same. It'll go down as a 500-foot shot in the book, I'm sure, if you're Aiden Hill. And he's tied the game with 1 swing of the bat.
Well, just like that, Kleinman puts a good swing on the baseball. You get a little bounce friendly from Ike, And then Aiden Hill leaves the deepest part of the diamond. And in the blink of an eye, it's a tie ball game as it's spiraled out of control for French.
This inning has gotten away. He's faced 3 hitters, seen 3 hits, and now Chris McHugh will step up to the plate. For Aiden Hill, that was his first home run of the season. He has 10 RBIs now on the year. And it's strike 1 to McHugh, who French now has to, with the bases clear, regroup quickly.
What a time to get your first home run for VCU if you're Aiden Hill. Made just 3 starts last year. Your manager rewards you by putting you in the 3 spot in the lineup. First 2 guys get on base, so then that's exactly what the guy who hits 3rd in the order should do. Bring him home.
Yeah, he was over 3 before that home run, and he's kind of been another guy that in this VCU lineup has been in a little bit of a slump. As
get one more look at that swing. It's a beautiful swing from Hill, center cut fastball. French just tried to beat him with the fastball, and Hill just beat him to the spot in the hitting zone.
Yeah, and Lambros got back there, but he would have needed to have been on the track by the time that ball was trying to clear. That one gets through. The diving attempt by Keister is a nice one, but all he can do is get a glove on it as it gets through to center field. And it's 4 hits to start the inning. And for a top half that didn't have a single hit through the first 5 innings, they've now racked up 4 straight hits.
Yeah, you make a great point. 0 for 11 their first couple of times through the order. Only the Ike hit by pitch had the top 4 in the order reach for VCU. And now all of a sudden, single, home run, single.
And that's going to bring a visit to the mound. There is somebody throwing in the Maryland pen. I didn't see him make a motion out there, so I think this is just going to be to try to buy some time for the bullpen and maybe settle French down a little bit too to allow the bullpen some more time to get loose. But Eli Wiesner, who is 1 for 3, and the 2 outs have been balls that he's stung. He's seen the ball well today.
Yeah, that looks more like Jimmy Jackson than it is Matt Swope. And so they are going to keep French in the ball game. Swope comes from a hitting background, so he doesn't go out and have the chat. Always more difficult for the broadcasters when the manager comes from a pitching coach background and goes out and has the mound visits regardless of substitutions. You see the manager come out and you think they're making a change, and that's just the manager out there to settle things down. That won't be the case for Swope.
So still nobody down. Runner at first, represented by Chris McHugh, and Eli Wiesner looking to keep the inning rolling right along for the Rams here. Swings at the first pitch, but can't make contact, and it's strike 1. Now he'll regroup. Wiesner, a grad student from Glen Allen, Virginia, transferred in from Charlotte, but Glen Allen, if you're unfamiliar with Virginia geography, right outside of Richmond. And now Wiesner turns on one. That one is hit deep, but it will go foul. And French can breathe a sigh of relief as it's just strike 2, but had he been able to straighten that one out, the Rams would have had their second home run of the inning.
You parked out there, Joe?
No, I'm on the first base side, so
that's a good call.
I should be safe.
That reached the parking lot out there. Wiesner got all of that baseball, just turned around on it too early. We say it in jest, but that is really a sign of how much Wiesner got of that baseball. And it doesn't get any easier with Iannuzzi on deck. And it's 3 for 3 day.
Wiesner swings and fouls this one the other way. That is more toward the direction of where I am parked, although I don't think I'm that far down. I should be protected by the stadium. They're going to have to hit it over this overhang at the diamond.
That's awfully tough for a right-handed hitter to send a ball the other way with that kind of velocity.
0-2, nobody out. McHugh there with a nice little bit of a lead at first base. That one misses high, ball 1 from French.
And, we joke about it, obviously, but that was a better 2-strike swing to send the ball the other way for Iannuzzi, just trying to, or rather from Wiesner, just trying to fight it off and give Iannuzzi a chance.
Wiesner seeing a lot of pitches here in this at-bat. That one misses downstairs, and it's 2-2. And as we mentioned, Wiesner's seen the ball well today. I mean, in the second, he lined out to right field on a low line drive. That was a nice play by Orr. Then he drives the single. Then he hits the rocket at first base that Eddie Hakopian makes the nice diving catch on. Watches the 2-2 miss, and it's 3-2 as French couldn't get him to chase after that one either.
Yeah, that was the play of the day defensively, not only because of how acrobatic it was, but in the context of the fact that each of the next 3 guys all had singles in the VCU order.
Another pickoff move to see if he could get McHugh maybe trying to get a head start on any kind of first motion, even though there's no outs. VCU sometimes does try to send that runner.
Especially with the full count, Joe.
Fouled straight down, and the count stays at 3-2. So French here has thrown double-digit pitches here in this at-bat alone.
Only a couple of minutes ago of real time we were talking about, hey, VCU needs all those runs back anyway. They got them all back now, so now you're starting to think about taking the lead. And it wouldn't necessarily be a bad spot to send McHugh. Although not somebody who will run a ton. Does not have a stolen base attempt yet this season.
Yeah, it's more of the guy that cleared the bases, Aiden Hill. He's been 3 for 3 on the base paths in the stolen base department. That one misses, and it's ball 4. So the rough day on the mound continuing for French, and now he'll try to rebound against a guy who is 3 for 3 with a couple doubles.
Yeah, Ethan Iannuzzi just seeing the ball really, really well today. And French, who has yet to record an out so far, having to face the biggest buzzsaw, at least so far today, in the VCU order.
And now we are going to see the pitching change. That will be it for French. The Rams have scored 3, and they're not done yet. We'll step aside here on ESPN Plus and come back with the rest of the bottom of the 7th and the Terrapins pitching change after this. We're back here on ESPN Plus. The new Maryland pitcher is the senior right-hander Nate Habathier, and the 6'5", 225-pound righty from Westchester, Ohio, transfer from Ohio State, another Big Ten transfer that stays in the conference but goes to Maryland. He's making his 3rd appearance this year, and so far he's 1-0 with a save through his first 2, only surrendering 2 hits. He's struck out 3, only walked 2.
Yeah, standing at every bit of that 6'5", 225 on the hill, an imposing figure. Last time out through 3 innings against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Did not give up a run in those 3 innings, only conceded 2 hits, walked 2, struck out 2. Also got that save in the opening game against Georgia Southern. It was a 5-4 victory.
Well, right now he's going to be called on with the game tied and the Rams having the go-ahead run in scoring position with Chris McHugh. Ethan Iannuzzi is going to be the first man to see him.
And this game really has just turned completely on its head. Maryland has led almost wire to wire, the 4 spot in the 2nd inning, and even though VCU's gotten a couple back just to stay within at least an arm's length, Maryland's been in the driver's seat the entire game, and all of a sudden VCU with the go-ahead run in scoring position, nobody out.
Oh, you just mentioned it. I mean, Maryland had the big inning in the 2nd inning, in large part due to free bases, but they took advantage of it and managed to score 4 runs that inning. And VCU started to come back, but it felt like, and you touched on this coming into this inning, it felt like every time VCU tried to come back, Maryland added a run in the top half of the inning to kind of keep the space. But now the 3 spot that's already hanging on the board for the Rams here in the bottom of the 7th, nobody out. Runners are at 1st and 2nd for a man in Ethan Iannuzzi, who is red hot right now, 3 for 3. Squaring around, and he'll pull back, and it's strike 1. That definitely might have caught the Terrapins by surprise if the way he swung the bat if he laid down a sac bunt.
Yeah, it gets to a point where you could be overthinking things if you're VCU. Yes, this is a situation where you could move a runner to score into third with less than 2 outs, but the way Iannuzzi's been swinging the bat today, you'd hate to take the bat out of his hands. And now you just have.
Yeah, 0-2 as he's pulled back again, but it catches the outside corner. The infield was in as well. The second time, definitely expecting it with both Hakopians in on the grass. And now Iannuzzi has to reset with an 0-2 count. That one gets away from the catcher, Glennon, and the runners will move out of a likely double play situation and now into second and third after the wild pitch.
Yeah, that just stings so badly for Matt Swope in Maryland because you just did Iannuzzi's job for him. He was unable to lay the bunt down in either of the first 2 pitches he sees. You get him to 2 strikes, he's going to have to swing away. And that's exactly what Iannuzzi was trying to do, was move the runners, and now the infield's going to have to come in.
Infield is in for the Terrapins, as you said, Ben, and now Habathier looking for a strikeout. Iannuzzi swings and lifts this into right field. It's not very deep, though, or charging in. He can't make the play. The wind, I think, is the biggest factor on that one, and the run will come in for the Rams as it's going to be an E9, and the run does score for the Rams.
Yeah, there's 2 factors there, and neither of them are good from a Maryland perspective, from a Jacob Orr perspective. One is the wind. You get set up and you try to line things up, and then the wind just takes you off by a half a step or 2. The other is the fact that Orr was trying to keep an eye on McHugh at third, and I think he tried to throw the baseball before he really finished fully catching it, and that combination just produces a nightmare for Maryland, and VCU has the lead.
So after the error, it brings up William Bean. Runners are on the corners now for the Rams. Still nobody out here in the 7th inning. Middle of the infield moves back to double play depth. That one will miss, and it's 1-0.
I'll tell you what, if VCU does go on to win this game, obviously a lot of the headlines are going to be the Aiden Hill home run, whatever other offense comes throughout the remainder of the game. James McGrady deserves a boatload of credit for keeping this game at least within reach for VCU.
Yeah, he was very good out of the bullpen as that's in there for a strike.
You think back to the early stages of the game, it was 4-0 Maryland. They had a ton of momentum. Melendez was cruising, and you got the feeling that Maryland was starting to be on cruise control. McGrady comes in, just settle things down, allows the bats to get back into it. Deficit goes back down to 4-2 and 5-3. And just sets VCU up for the chance for an inning like this to get themselves back into the ballgame.
2-1 to Bean. Bean picked up a single in the 6th. He was hit by a pitch his first 2 at-bats. Chance here to pick up his 5th RBI of the year. That one missing low and away, and it's 3-1.
Because if you think back to yesterday when Carolina was up 6-0 after 4, 8-0 after 5, VCU was a 4 spot in this 7th inning, which is all well and good, but if Maryland spirals out of control offensively and it's already 7 or 8-0, the 4 runs in the 7th inning, helps, but doesn't put you in the kind of spot that the Rams are in now.
Very true. 3-1 will be in there for strike 2. The count goes full for Habathier on the mound. Rams looking to extend their lead here.
See if Iannuzzi goes from first as well, especially with the runner at third.
He will. Bean swings and fouls that one away.
Oh, that's killer for VCU because he's got a great jump as well. And now you show your hand.
And we'll have to see, because with the infield playing in, and now you'll see Eddie Hakopian going to play a little more closer to that first base bag. It made it an easy decision for Iannuzzi. He's going to go again. Bean swings, and this one is lifted to right, but it's going to drift foul out of play into the Maryland bullpen. Oh, I tell you what, that's another one where the wind, it looked like it was definitely going to leave the diamond altogether, and then it ends up just clearing that bullpen wall.
That the longer it hangs up in the air, the more that can happen, as Orr just learned.
Bean fouling off a ton of pitches. Now he's going to make a pickoff move after Iannuzzi moved on first, or started to go on first movement the last couple times, but Iannuzzi diving back into first.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. He's looking to go, so if he can steal it out there.
He'll go this time. Bean swings. That's down the third base line and fair. The throw to first. Fielded, but dropped, so he's safe. Iannuzzi now racing back to third. He's safe. And it looks like Eddie Hakopian a little dinged up there on that throw. He wasn't able to quite get it cleanly on the hop. That was a heck of a play by Chris Hakopian just to keep it from getting into the outfield, but that's about where the good part of the play ended for Maryland.
Yeah, so much happened there. First of all, I think Chris Hakopian saved a run with a really nice diving play. Iannuzzi, as likely as not, scores, especially with him being, on the move off of the throw. Then you got Bean, who took a scenic route to first base. He was way offline, and that probably made things a little bit closer than it needed to be. And then you have Eddie Hakopian unable to handle the throw.
That one misses 1-0 to Cooper Benson.
RBI. Runner advances to third on throwing error.
So the error is charged to Chris Hakopian, the third baseman. They did rule that an infield single for Bean, but you're right. That was a lot closer than it needed to be because of the odd angle he took to first. Now Benson singles into right field, and he'll pick up an RBI. Still nobody out in the inning, and the big inning continues. That's a giant crooked number on the board now.
It is 6 here in the bottom half of the 7th inning, and things have just completely spiraled out of control for Maryland. Going back to that route from Bean, I think he might have realized how close of a play it was going to be at first and wanted to kind of make sure he stayed on that foul side. And as they go have a conversation, Glennon and Haberthier again emphasize that the safety base over at first base needs to be a thing like yesterday in college baseball. Maryland fans are all too familiar with it, with a controversial play in the Game 7 of the regional final in 2022 against UConn when Chris Allen was running just on the first base side, collided with the first baseman, and all heck broke loose in College Park when they ruled him out for batter runner interference. But it's a safety thing as much as a function of the game thing, especially on plays like that. You don't want guys to have to take the kind of route to first base that Bean did. I really don't understand why it's not a thing quite yet. And it doesn't look as cool as a terrible excuse.
Yeah, the first pitch misses outside to Zyrus. I actually don't think that's a bad thing for Major League Baseball either.
I agree, yeah.
1-0 count to Zyrus here as the Rams have brought everybody to the plate, and there's still nobody out. Zyrus fouls that one back, and it's 1-1.
If you're unfamiliar with what we're talking about, the term safety first base refers to basically having two first bases side by side, one in fair territory to use for the first baseman to step on and to use when there's a runner at first base, and then the other that's parallel to it and adjacent to it for the batter to step on in first base, knowing that he's going to be turned back to foul territory anyway if he reaches.
Zyrus puts that one down. It's fielded by the pitcher, and Haberthier throws it away. So another Maryland error, and the ball has gotten away, so the runners will advance. Bean will score. Benson over to third, and what was supposed to be a sacrifice bunt results in the third Maryland error of the inning.
It's actually a good thing for Maryland. That ball bounced into the stands because that holds the runners. They would have probably still be running if that ball just continued into foul ground, of which there is a lot and of which Orr is playing well away from the line. But this is absolutely wheels falling off territory from a Maryland defensive perspective out of almost nothing. We were just praising the Maryland defense a couple of innings ago.
Infield's back in with runners at second and third. It's the second time we've seen Kleiman here in the inning, and it's 1-0.
And still nobody out.
In there for a strike, it's 1-1. Kleiman did single to lead off this inning, and it was the start, as Ben said, of the wheels falling off the wagon for the Terrapins here. Now 2-1. Two balls, one strike to Kleinman. That one is hit up the middle and through into center field. A 2 RBI single for Kleinman. And the inning continues for VCU.
And that is now 9 runs here in the 7th inning for VCU. After in the last 15 innings, they had scored to combine 5 over the course of the last 24 hours or so.
And we'll see another Maryland pitching change. Still nobody out in the inning. And VCU has scored 9 here in the 7th. We'll be back with more A10 college baseball in the bottom of the 7th inning after this. Well, it's the 3rd different pitcher of the inning for Maryland. The first 2 weren't able to get an out, as Alex Walsh will now step in for the Terrapins. And he's going to be tasked with trying to find a way to end this inning that seemingly will never end. He's a 5th-year senior, and he's a right-hander from Ashburn, Virginia, transferred from Lafayette to Maryland.
Was first-team All-Patriot League at Lafayette a season ago. 12 starts on a 3.71 ERA, excuse me. Now using that 5th year of eligibility, making his 3rd appearance through 2 2/3 innings against Georgia Southern, gave up 2 earned runs, and then only faced 2 batters against Washington, got an out and a walk, and that was all that the Terps needed against the Huskies in that 6-5 loss. Now just coming in to try to stop the bleeding. A 9 spot here in the 7th inning, and the 11th batter to step up to the plate will be Brandon Ike, and there's still nobody gone.
Yeah, and an inning for Maryland that is really gone awry. 9 runs in the inning. The 10th man to the plate is standing over there at first base after his 2 RBI single. And it brings up Brandon Ike, who, despite the Rams having a big inning, would love nothing more than to get a big inning, add to it, and see if he can hit the 2nd home run of the inning.
It all started with that 3-run shot for Hill to tie things up at 6 apiece. And it's all just been bonus for VCU.
That one is in the dirt. Kleinman breaks for second. He'll slide in safely on the wild pitch.
Kleinman, not necessarily a huge threat to steal, but catchers get the best dirt ball reads out of anybody on the base paths. He knows exactly what that's like to have to block it and get up and throw it. So the catcher in the leadoff spot is able to see it, get a good read, and get himself into scoring position.
Ike swings and hits this on a line to center field. That's going to get over the center fielder Lambrose's head and bounce off the wall. It's an RBI double for Ike, and it's 13-6. The Rams have put up double-digit runs, and that scoreboard out there in left field is going to go back to 0, but that's not the kind of 0 you want to see if you're Maryland.
No, you have to take the 1 from the 6th inning and tack it on
carry it
for
over.
the 7th. Yeah, we didn't learn that in algebra class, but that's what VCU's doing right now, a baker's dozen here in the ball game, and the lion's share of them coming here in the 7th inning, and still nobody gone.
Well, you mentioned it started with the 3-run homer by this man, Aiden Hill. Since then, 3 Maryland errors have contributed to the VCU cause. That one's in the dirt. Ike's racing for third. His throw is offline. It bounces, and now Ike will go from third to home. Imagine that's going to be an E2 just because the throw was a little away from the third base bag. But, man, this inning that has absolutely unraveled on Maryland continues to do so.
It will likely be a wild pitch to get him to third and then the error home.
Scores on a throwing error by the catcher.
That's exactly what it will be as we get the official scoring decision. Man, oh man, has things just completely turned unrecognizable for Maryland from the first part of the ballgame.
14-6, VCU, still nobody out. Aiden Hill hits this one through the right side, and finally, Maryland will get that first down of the inning as Honar throws it over to Eddie Hakopian in time.
It sounds silly to say because obviously you don't want Ike to score, but you wonder if there's just a little part of the psyche for Walsh that just, with the fact that there's nobody on the base paths anymore, kind of gives you the chance to take a deep breath, attempt to hit the reset button, and go after Hill.
Well, and it lets him get back into his windup instead of being from the stretch. That's a very good point there, Ben. And now Chris McHugh, who singled his first time up in the inning, 1 for 4 day.
Especially for a guy who was a starter last year.
Fouls that one away, and it's now 0-1.
It appeared out of the bullpen a couple of times for Lafayette in 2021, once in 2022, and then all of a sudden burst onto the scene in 2023.
14-6. The Rams have 14 hits, but 4 Maryland errors definitely helping the cause. That one misses upstairs, and it's 1-1. One ball, one strike to McHugh. That one will miss, and it's 2-1. We have closed the book on the previous Maryland relievers, but it's not a book that they're going to be happy to read here. For French, he didn't record an out, gave up 5 runs, 4 of them were earned. For Habathier, none of his runs were earned, as that one is popped up, even though he surrendered 5. That one will see the ball caught in center field by Lambros, and that retires McHugh for the second out of the inning.
Talking about Walsh's time at Lafayette, Leopards have really been the victim of the transfer portal in the past couple of years. It's not the first time recently. They've churned out a couple of really good pitchers that just have them stolen by DMV programs. Jake Bloss put together a really solid Lafayette career and then used that extra year at Georgetown, and all he did with the Hoyas was have a sub-3 ERA and take a no-hitter into the 8th inning against Cornell a season ago.
Well, Eli Wiesner steps in now, and Wiesner swings at the first pitch. This one's lifted toward left. Going back on it is Martin to the track, and that one leaves the diamond. Second home run of the inning. This one hit by Eli Wiesner, and it's 15-6. VCU, his first home run of the year.
Well, that is the cherry on top of this 7th inning Sunday. Whatever VCU did to stretch in between the top and bottom half of the 7th inning, going to have to include that in the rest of the strength and conditioning regimen for the rest of the season, because it has worked to perfection, an even dozen here in the 7th inning.
Bad news, it's Ethan Iannuzzi.
Yeah, no kidding.
3 for 4, reached on an error by the right fielder, but he's gotten 3 hits, including 2 doubles since then. That one's in there for a strike. Maryland infield is shaded over to the left, playing him to pull it. No balls and a strike to Iannuzzi. He'll swing and drive this toward left field. On the run and making the nice diving catch is Martin. And that finally ends the inning, but it's a 12-run inning for VCU. The Rams up 15-6 on Maryland. As we step to the break here on ESPN+, we'll be back with the 8th inning after this. We are back here on ESPN Plus. You see the 12th spot there for the Rams in the 7th. And if you're scoring at home and you're wondering, the 12 runs, 5 of those were earned. There were 9 hits, 4 errors, and the Rams didn't leave anybody on base. That's about a perfect inning if you're an offense.
Yeah, you do that a couple of times the ball game, you give yourself a real chance to win.
Martin takes strike one on the outside as Tappy was in the dugout for quite a while. He comes back out. He'll face 9-1-2. Braden Martin, Eddie Hakopian, and Sam Honar. That one is swung on, fouled toward the left side, and it will just get down in front of Iannuzzi for strike 2.
This is a Maryland team that can score runs in bunches. We talked about the 7th spot that they put up in the first inning against Georgetown just yesterday. So this, it's a 9-run ball game. It doesn't seem like a terribly important inning, but the first batter or two seems really important for VCU just to shut things down and not really give Maryland that kind of glimmer of a chance to kind of string a couple of things together and get yourself back into it with only 6 outs with which to work.
Yeah, Maryland down to 6 outs now, but as I said earlier, you need 27 outs. Ideally, you would like to not be down 9 runs this late in the ballgame, but technically VCU does have to get 27 outs before this game is over. It's a 1-2 count here to Martin. Tappy gets him looking for strike 3.
And you only can get 1 out at a time if you're Tappy, but all you want to do is just that right there. Stop a rally starter, stop any sort of momentum gathering for Maryland at kind of this latter stage of the ball game right after you put up a dozen.
And that's the thing. I mean, you love getting a dozen runs, and no pitcher's going to say, please don't score 12 runs for me in an inning. But it is a long time in the dugout, and you wonder how he was going to bounce back after being in the dugout that long. Well, so far he comes out and strikes out the first hitter. Now he's ahead 0-1 to Eddie Hakopian.
And we've talked about it as well with Melendez on the other side of things.
Yeah, and Hakopian swings and hits this one into right field. Hill finds it, is under it, and there's quickly 2 Terrapins retired here in the 8th.
Just the fact that the conditions also don't make it at all conducive to sit around and wait. It is not really cold, but it's cloudy, it's rainy, it's windy. It's not the kind of day where you want to just be sitting around not doing much of anything. It's the kind of game where your muscles can tense up fairly quickly if you're just standing around for that long. So really good to see Tappy get right back to work.
Honar swings and chops it to second. It's a 3-up, 3-down inning as McHugh has no problem flipping it to Wiesner in time. The Rams up 9 when we come back with the bottom of the 8th inning on ESPN+. The lefty, senior Logan Ott. And Ben, Logan Ott comes in what is loosely referred to as a not high leverage situation. He'll come in with his team down 9. He's looking to just keep the game where it is.
Yeah, that's a perhaps diplomatic way to put it. First appearance of the season for Ott. And for both of these teams right now, especially for Maryland, who's on the worst end of a 15-6 scoreline, you're just looking for any sort of value you can get out of this kind of situation. You get it here by giving Ott his first appearance of 2024. Really interesting career Logan Ott has had. He started out as a true two-way guy back in 2021. He got 40 plate appearances. He threw 9 innings back in 2021. And you see a lot of guys come in their freshman year, maybe their sophomore year, they're kind of a true two-way guy. First pitch foul back to the screen. Very few stay that way over the course of their entire college career and not kind of transitioned into a more pure pitching guy. Did not get an at-bat in either 2022 or 2023, but threw 50 innings in 22.
Bean swings and drives this to left field. It's going back. It's going to be off the Budweiser sign in left field, and Bean hustling into second with a leadoff double. Rams picking up right where they left off in the 7th inning.
And then Ott threw 40 more innings in 2023, so he became just a true pitcher guy, but you rarely see guys come into college, be a two-way, the freshman, all the way through their senior year, although the Dodgers have one who's he didn't play college baseball, but he can do both pretty well.
Yeah, he made a little bit of money. Cooper Benson at the plate. Benson 2 for 3. 3 RBIs in the game. And each of his last 3 at-bats, he's picked up one as that one misses downstairs. It's 1-0.
What'd that contract end up being?
Oh, $750 million, but I don't know, $500 million of it's deferred or something crazy. But at least it felt that way. So 1-0. That one in the strike zone, 1-1 to Benson now. But for Bean, we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, Bean being in a little bit of a slump. What a day for him. I mean, he got hit the first 2 times he was at the plate. Since then, he picked up a single in the 6th, RBI single in the 7th, as that one is in there for a strike to Benson, and it's 1-2. And then a leadoff double here in the 8th.
Yeah, a lot of guys towards the bottom part of the order who could have just really used a big day to lift him up have really gotten that.
1-2 pitch to Benson. He'll take, and it's 2-2 as that one misses downstairs.
And you kind of zoom out towards the context of this part of the season. It's the final couple of days of February. Not the final day of February, though. It's February 28th. Got one more tomorrow. But you got Boston College in town over the weekend. You got Sacred Heart. You got Central Connecticut State as well.
That's a line drive that is fair and caught by the third baseman, says the third baseman. I thought that one was caught on a line, and at first he was motioning fair more emphatically than the out. So Cooper Benson is retired on a nice play by Chris Hakopian.
Both of the Hakopians have been really solid defensively today. Eddie made that phenomenal leaping catch earlier on in the contest. That was in the 6th. What feels like forever ago now, though.
Trent Adelman coming up to the plate now for VCU.
Yeah, that's a Boston College team that is in town on Sunday. That is number 21 in the RPI by D1 Baseball. That is a really good team, and you're going to need a deep lineup 1 through 9 to hit well against BC.
Just the second at-bat of the year for Adelman, the freshman from Maryland. Swings through that one, and it's 0-2.
Central Connecticut, 111. Sacred Heart down in the 200s in the RPI. Those will be games that VCU will like themselves or will favor themselves to win. But that Boston College game is going to be a real litmus test. You play North Carolina State early on in the season where you're still kind of getting a lot of the kinks out of the early part of the season. Now, kind of in the thick of things, will be weekend number 3. VCU will have picked up presumably a big win over a good Maryland team. That'll be a real test for the Rams.
1-2 pitch fouled away by Adelman. And in that opening series against NC State for VCU, they won one of the games. And they hung around in the Sunday game, only losing 5-3. Even the first game of the year, 6-1, wasn't, a blowout. So they were in that series. The North Carolina game gets away from them a little bit like we just touched on. But here today, they're looking very good against a solid Maryland program out of the Big Ten. And then they've got Boston College, as you said, another test out of the ACC as Adelman hits this one over to Eddie Hakopian, flips it to Ott, who gets there in time to step on the bag at first. It does allow Bean to move over to third with 2 down.
And the way that the schedule shakes out really gives VCU an opportunity to kind of ramp up. You got this win theoretically today. Sacred Heart and Central Connecticut State. Obviously, you got to play the games. Anything can happen. We've seen that already. Plenty of upsets this year. But you give yourself a good chance to win that. And then you theoretically have a chance to win 3 in a row going into a 3-game stretch against a top 25 RPI team in Boston College. And then in Greenville, North Carolina for 2 against East Carolina, who are kind of a dark horse by a lot of people to go to the College World Series this year.
1-0 count to Casey Kleinman looking for a 3-hit day. That one misses upstairs, and it's 2-0.
Although, frankly, I think the cat's out of the bag about East Carolina this year. They were kind of the preseason rumbling, hey, Pirates might really have something this year. And now everyone's kind of understanding they're a legit threat to go very deep.
That one misses high. 3-0 to Kleinman. Kleinman picked up a couple RBIs in his second at-bat of the 7th inning. He had a 2-hit inning. That one is in there for a strike as he's taking all the way. 3-1 now to the junior, Casey Kleinman. From California, and that one's missing for ball 4, so the Californian will take his base with a walk.
These are the kinds of days where if you're coming from California, you're thinking, why exactly did I leave if it's late February and it's feeling the way it is? Not great surf weather today.
No. Brandon Ike now steps up to the plate. Picked up an RBI on the double his last time up. He also had a 2-hit 7th inning. Holds up, and that one misses inside. It's ball 1. Throw from Ott. Oh, I think Ike was looking for that home run there on that swing. Lost his balance a little bit. 1-1 now. Saw a pitch elevated, and I think his eyes lit up. Now a 1-1 pitch as Ott looking to get out of this inning. That one will miss low and away, 2-1.
Kleinman out of Westlake High School in Ventura County, California. Also produced Christian Yelich, that baseball program. That's obviously one of the top hot spots in college baseball. Or in high school baseball, rather, in terms of garnering talent for the college level.
Ike turned on that when it's fouled away. 2-2 with 2 down.
Well, it's not to be confused with Harvard Westlake High School. That's an entirely different high school that had that rotation of Lucas Giolito, Max Fried, and Jack Flaherty at the high school level all at the same time.
That seems unfair. That one's fouled away. That's where somebody needs to step in and go, all right, so one of you have got to go play somewhere else.
Yeah, if you are looking at the schedule, you just get out of a tough algebra test. You got physics homework as well. You see how, thank goodness, Lucas Giolito and Max Fried just pitched the last 2 days, and then Jack Flaherty steps up onto the mound at the high school level is a real tough spot to be in.
Ike swings, and this one is slicing, but looks like it will land foul, so the count remains 2-2 with 2 away. Ike from Powhatan, Virginia, also near the Richmond area. Powhatan High School, in terms of Virginia baseball, usually a pretty solid baseball program getting deep into the VHSL tournaments. He'll turn on this one. It's on the ground. It's going to be fielded by Keister. He'll go to second base for the fielder's choice that gets the Terrapins out of the inning. It's 15-6. The Terrapins are going to need 9 runs before 3 outs if we're going to see the bottom of the 9th here on ESPN+. We'll see if they can do it when we come back. Getting ready for the 9th inning here on ESPN+. It's 15-6, VCU ahead of Maryland. Tappy stays out on the mound as he's looking to slam the door shut on the Terrapins, who, again, would need 9 runs here this inning just to force a bottom of the 9th.
Now, at this point right now for both teams, you're just looking to build good habits. You're looking to build a little bit of momentum heading into your next contest. And for both of these teams, that's just 48 hours away. Maryland will be back at home for 3 games against Bryant, an opportunity to right the ship, and then only 1 midweek next week for the Terps against Delaware.
And it looks like Maryland is going to have a pinch hitter. It's Ben Nardi stepping up to the plate. Swings, hits that one on the ground. It's fielded by Bean. The throw over to Wiesner in time, and Nardi is retired.
Good swing of the bat for the first at-bat for Ben Nardi in his Maryland career. Transfer from Catholic, another one of those D3 to D1 transfers. Hit the ball sharply, just right at Bean. And another pinch hitter as Matt Swope will go to the bench. Jordan Crossland, the freshman, top-ranked shortstop in the state of Virginia by Perfect Game Baseball.
Yeah, he's out of Suffolk, Virginia, and the freshman watches that one miss outside ball one as it looks like Coach Swope just evacuating the bench a little bit here in the ninth inning, getting some guys some at-bats.
See if Crossland gets the chance to run. He can really scoot. 6.42 60-yard dash clocked in high school.
1 ball, 1 strike with 1 down now as he couldn't hold up his swing there. One pitch on the way from Tappy. That one will miss, and it's now 2-1 to Crossland. Crossland just 2 for 7 so far this year. Fouls that one back, 2-2. Of course, same can be said for Maryland as we said for Boone earlier in the game for VCU. Even when you're not starting all the time, when you get these at-bats, every at-bat's valuable because you're trying to show why you deserve more time in the lineup, especially when you get into conference play. 2-2 pitch. Got a piece of it. It's fouled back, and it stays at 2-2.
And there'll be another Virginian making his Maryland debut in the on-deck circle, Riley DeCandido out of Virginia Beach and Frank W. Cox High School. First-team All-State selection in high school. He's on deck.
2-2 pitch. That one is going to be dropped into right field in front of Aiden Hill. And it is a 1-out single. As delivering there was Jordan Crossland.
Got his first career hit in his first career home game against Mount St. Mary's. Now goes on the road to the Diamond. Is able to pick up another knock.
So Riley DeCandido stepping up. And as you said, the freshman from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Close by there to Crossland in Suffolk. That one will miss outside. It's ball 1.
Canada will primarily play on the corners of the infield when he does get opportunities to play in the field. Was the 4th-ranked first baseman in Virginia coming out of high school.
Take strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike as Tappy trying to get through this one. And looks like there's another pinch hitter waiting on deck for Maryland.
That's Randy Carlo the 4th.
1-1 pitch. Swung on, popped up toward left field. Ike giving it a chase, but that one's going to get into the seats. It's 1-2.
You know, Carlo the 4th would love to get an opportunity to play over the weekend because that's where he started his career at Bryant, Maryland's next opponent. And assuming Carlo the 4th does get a chance to hit and there's not a double play here, that'll be another Maryland debut.
DeCandido takes the 1-2 that just misses. Good take. It's 2-2.
So yeah, like we've been saying, this is just an opportunity to get some sort of value out of the game for Matt Swope right now.
Mm-hmm.
The 12 runs in the 7th inning put the game pretty much to bed.
That one swung on, fouled away. Count stays at 2-2. Because you never want to think about it, but, you know, just in case of an injury, you need to know who you can rely on. And if there's rainouts later in the season, it's tough to play guys 18 innings necessarily. So you want to know, okay, who can I go on in a pinch when we need somebody else to play other than my regular starters? That one is going to be foul tipped back to the backstop.
You make a really good point, Joe. You never want to think about it if you're Matt Swope about what's going to happen if a Hakopian goes down, if Kevin Keister goes down, if one of your big impact guys is unable to play. But you're not doing your job if you don't have some, plans in place for if that were to happen.
That one comes in, and that will get a piece of DeCandido, so he will take his base. So after the first man is retired, it's a single and a hit by pitch to put 2 Terrapins on, and it will bring up Randy Carlo IV, the junior utility man in the program from Sinking Spring, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you need to have the contingencies in place for injuries are going to happen. It's part of the game. College baseball is an absolute grind with how many games there are just sandwiched into the spring schedule alone, and then with weights and workouts and classes as well. Something's going to happen to somebody, so you need to be prepared.
That one is off the end of the bat. Bean swipes his glove at it but can't get it. It falls in, and it's a single with one away. The bases full of Terrapins here in the ninth.
First Maryland hit for Randy Carlo IV. Made 19 starts for Bryant in 2022. Went to Hartford Community College last year, won a regional championship.
And another pinch hitter here.
That's Michael Iannazzo. Not to be confused with Ethan Iannuzzi.
Yeah, Iannazzo, the freshman from Southport, Connecticut, now stepping in. Strike one.
At a Fairfield College prep. Making his first Maryland appearance as well. E.J. Hankerson, who's also not yet played for Maryland in the on-deck circle.
Iannazzo with the bases loaded fouls that back, and it's 0-2. Yeah, if you're a coach and your plan is, well, if everything goes right and we don't have any injuries, that's a plan that probably is not going to work out. I think any college coach across America, and honestly, any coach at any level across America would tell you that's not a great plan to rely on. Like, oh, we're going to be fine as long as no one gets hurt.
And you also you imagine shortstop as keisters until something happens to him, but you also want to have some competition at positions. That makes everybody better.
0-2 to Iannazzo here. That one misses, and it's 1-2.
Well, you can say, hey, there's a certain standard that you're going to have to play at, or we have somebody else who is prepared to take your place and has been performing good enough to take your place, whether it's in practice, in these kind of small sample size game situations. That makes the whole team better.
The 1-2 pitch is chopped. Tappy has it. He'll trade a run for an out. It's the second out. Iannazzo picking up an RBI on the 1-3 putout. So 15-7, the Terrapins get one back, but now they're down to their last out, still chasing 8 runs.
And congratulations to Michael Iannazzo, first college RBI.
Now E.J. Hankerson stepping up to the plate.
Freshman out of Baltimore, Maryland, Calvert Hall High School. Huge athletic program in that state.
And the young man from the Charm City fouls that one back for strike one.
And talking about it all day, Maryland really putting emphasis on wanting to recruit from Maryland, especially from Calvert Hall in a number of sports. Trying to establish those pipelines for recruiting.
Runners at second and third. Hankerson swings. That one's back up the middle. Played on one hop by McHugh. The throw to first is in time. And the Rams win this one 15-7 thanks to a 12-run 7th inning that saw the Rams take all the control in this one. VCU will be back in action on Friday when they get ready to take on Sacred Heart at 3 p.m. on ESPN+. For our entire ESPN Plus crew and Ben Curtis, I'm Joe Deck. Thanks for watching A10 College Baseball. Final score from Richmond, VCU 15, Maryland 7. Have a good night.
Live sports.